All right, you guys. Let me make sure everybody can hear me. Hey, y'all can hear me? Okay, that's what's up. Hope everybody's doing good. I see everybody's popping in here now. Make sure my phone's on vibrate. So as we know, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially like with the weather in Texas, the grid. I've been keeping up with the Texas, like their local news stations and things like that. I see a lot of blame being passed around between the power company and the governor. So it's a bunch of mess. Yes, I got the bang. I feel like doing my hair. But yeah, the weather is crazy out here. Out here in the Midwest, well, in Minneapolis, I can only speak for my city. It's been cold for like the past 2 weeks, but this weekend was super cold. Like I was saying, when I did the podcast, it got down to -20. So it was really bad up here as well. And again, like I was saying before, it's funny how people were so distracted by the nonsense, last week. And imagine if people put that much energy into making things about the grid or the infrastructure go viral. They won't put any energy into that. But imagine if that went viral, it could have stopped some of the stuff that we're seeing. And the thing is, from what I researched, is that Texas had a really bad cold spell 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, they told the state of Texas to winterize their grid, do all types of updates, just basically make it seem like the grids that run through the rest of America, especially like in the Midwest and the East Coast and things like that, to basically winterize them, just in the event. But because there was no incentive to do that, they didn't do it. And now you had 4 million people without power. I think they said half of that has been restored, but it's still 2 million. And this is going on day 3, going on day 4, because it's, 6:40 right now. So I want to hear from people in Texas. I know some people in Mississippi are also dealing with water issues, not being able to get water. You got people dying in their garages. Like, the stuff that like sometimes I just assume that people should know. I'm really surprised that they don't know that you don't start up your car in your garage with the garage door shut. That's suicide. But I guess there's people who didn't know it because they said it was like a family had died that way. They found them in the garage this morning. So, I mean, the things that people put their attention into, as opposed to like really focusing on things that really, really matter, is scary. It's real scary. So raise your hands if you're from Texas and you want to add anything to the conversation, what you guys are experiencing, what you've gone through. I'm going to start taking calls here.
You might have to unmute them, unfortunately, because they were keeping unmuting themselves back and forth. So we mute all. So you might have to unmute them, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I see MM Morales. So let me go ahead and unmute your microphone. Or go ahead and...
Hi, I'm from, yep. Hey T, this is Michelle.
And do you have a better audio? It sounds robotic.
No, this is the best way. It's my laptop. It's a piece of junk.
It sounds really bad though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's my laptop. I have to use my headphones as a speaker.
Yeah, it sounds bad. We can't listen to that. It's just a bunch of feedback and then every other word.
So do you want me to, I can do like phone audio. I mean, that's going to be
Try
the
that.
best option for me.
It sounds real bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a sec. Sorry, T.
Okay. No worries. And then if there's anybody else in any other state or going through, just different weather conditions, just raise your hand and then we can go ahead and unmute you as well. Somebody in the chat said they're talking about cutting off the water and they're in Tennessee. Wow. I heard the Carolinas are going to get it really bad as well. All right, let me go ahead and bring on Snugglewug Bear. Go ahead and mute your microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, I'm not really good, but I mean, I could be worse than everybody else. I'm in Killeen, Texas, basically Fort Hood, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and it's God, it's crazy out here right now. I'm actually from Virginia, so seeing the snow isn't too crazy for me,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't seen anything like this. Like,
So what are you seeing exactly?
so right now, I just looked out the door, so I'm out of breath. So I heard you call me. My neighbors next door are trying to shovel the end of their driveway so they can get their car to come up in the driveway right now. This lady just got stuck out there. Like, she can't even get her car to go down the road because the wheels are just spinning in place.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was like some of these trucks out here, you know, the big ones. There's been like, I think it's like 6 of them got in a car accident this morning. And so it's just bad. Like, the cars are frozen and everything. As far as the grocery stores, there's like really no food, mostly left. There are lines of people wrapped around the building. Dollar Generals don't have stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I heard we're about to run out of gas. Also, my coworkers and stuff, mostly everybody at my job, are without power.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my friends in Carper's Cove, which is right next to Killeen, Texas, she said all of Carper's Cove have no power, and I've been hearing all of Temple, Texas has no power. And one of my friends yesterday was talking to me, and she was like, well, I mean, I don't think there's nobody to really blame. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're not used to cold weather. I said, I think that's a bunch of BS and that's an excuse. I said, because I was in Virginia, and when I was in Virginia, when I was younger, until like 20 something, we used to like really never get that many snowstorms, snow period. So I went to Virginia Beach, by the beach area and stuff, and Norfolk, Virginia. And so they would like over prepare. Like, they would have the electric crew or whatever trucks out. They'll be in some of the neighborhood. They'll have people from electricity companies, the trucks from Maryland, DC, I mean, North Carolina be coming in to help us out. And the the road would be so sandy and then salt or whatever. And it's like, wow, they put too much sand. And sometimes if they were overthinking it, because they're like, oh, we're about to get this much snow, but they were always prepared to a degree. And I said, I understand that Texas stays warm a lot. I've been here for like 6 years. I get it. But there wasn't enough preparation by the government officials. And a lot of people are blaming Biden for it and everything. It's turned into a political thing, which it is political to a degree, because a lot of people didn't know that our electricity comes from one company, and our electric grid, and it's not shared with it's not with the federal government. So that's one of the reasons why a bunch of resources from different states weren't coming in to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And so Biden is helping or whatever, FEMA is involved, but it's just been bad. I mean, my house, power done went off. I'm an amputee. I had cancer when I was 6. So like I was telling my friends, I said, I was like, I'm starting to get stressed out. I'm starting to get worried. I told her, I said, I'm about to actually run out of food now. I said, I cannot walk outside because I done slipped a couple of times trying to take my dogs, because my back gate for my dogs is frozen in. I can't move the gate. I can't even get to the gate because walking to it is straight ice. So I have to let my dogs run outside in the front yard. And I train them pretty good to stay with me in the front yard, and they listen really well. So that's good. But like, it just sucks because now I'm thinking like, well, even when the warmer weather comes, we're actually getting some precipitation or whatever the hell it's called tonight. And I was like, I thought we were done. And they said it's gonna go back to the teens tonight. And I'm like, so how am I gonna get food? Because now I'm like, when is it gonna melt? I'm hoping by Sunday it melts or something. But it just sucks. And I just hearing stories from like my different friends. And a lot of my friends are out here are military too. So some of them kind of are used to, not having the convenience of water and electricity and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So But it's just been crazy. And then, I work in mental health, and then like I actually snapped on my boss yesterday because I was just frustrated because, she's like, do this, do that, do this. And she kept asking our coworkers, she was like, oh, well, are you guys going to, do you have your power on yet? And I felt as a boss, you shouldn't be asking your employees over and over, do they have their power on yet to work? They've been without power since yesterday, 24 hours. Some of them, they're not worried about working when their house is like, some of them, like one of my coworkers, her house is at 40 degrees. That was as of yesterday. So I don't know. She's been without power for almost like 4 or 5 days now. So yeah, it's really crazy right now, and I don't know what I'm going to do as far as food. I'll figure it out. I mean, if my power goes out, then I'm gonna be in trouble. But since I'm from Virginia, we're taught, you can go and buy a whole bunch of food, but it needs to be like pantry items. You don't buy a whole bunch of frozen goods and stuff. And I think some of the Texans out here, they went and brought a whole bunch of frozen stuff, a whole bunch of food for the refrigerator, not thinking that if your power goes out, what are you gonna do with it then? So
Well, what people can do, which I'm surprised that a lot of people aren't even realizing this, take all the food and put it right there in your yard.
exactly.
People are like, oh, my food is spoiling in the refrigerator. Take it out. It's cold enough outside. It's just basic
Yeah.
stuff. It's just, hell, my deck is full of food. I utilize
Yeah.
my deck in the wintertime. That's my second storage. So it's like, don't let the food that you do have go to waste. If you're not gonna have any power, just put it out there for now, like the milk, the eggs, cheese,
Yeah.
things like that. So yeah, it's really sad what's going on with a lot of people, but I appreciate you for calling in and letting us know what you're going
Thank
through
you.
right now. Thank you. Okay, let me try M. Morales one more time. So let's see if the phone works.
Hey, T. Are
Okay.
you able to hear me on my speaker?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Yeah. So I'm from the state of Nebraska. It was really cold the last few days, especially in Hastings. Right before this cold temperatures, my parents' heater went out. They went without like heat for like several days. It was really bad. And like my parents said, like, thank God they got this fixed before when the weather got bad. And their house is a lot older. So I kind of freaked out because it's like, holy crap, they don't have the part. And it's like, my God. And another thing is, like, in Nebraska, I'll show you what they're doing in the state of Nebraska. Power out, like they're rationing, like doing power outages every 30 minutes, depending. I'm in Kearney, Nebraska right now. I haven't been affected to it to a degree, but there's something kind of fishy about this. My friend said, like, the poor side of my hometown, they did it for like half. They did it on the poor side of town, not the rich side, which is suspicious.
Yeah, that's what they're
Am I
doing.
wrong for saying that?
I forgot who said it. It was some TikTok girl said it too, that it's like a social economic, behind it, because even in Texas, the parts where the homes are bigger, the better neighborhoods, they haven't gone without power. They've taken most of the power from like the lower income neighborhoods, the smaller homes, the older neighborhoods. So it seems to be the game plan all around the country right now.
Yeah, which is like suspicious because like they're all like anything like governmental stuff, they always affect minorities and lower income neighborhoods. And it's like, what do you like I understand they have to do power shortages, but why just do it to the lower income? Do it to other people, the wealthy. It's like it confuses the hell out of me. Why are they doing it at other places, not the bigger cities?
Mm-hmm.
Even at one point, they closed their schools yesterday because it was so cold. But we had class on Monday, which is like weird as hell. Try and look at the articles, but I'll show you the photo. Give me a one. And it was like, I think I shared it with my friend, how it was like, why are you guys getting the power outages, but my town isn't? I always asked her, I'm like, wait, you're not getting the power outages? No. And these were our weathers in Kearney, Nebraska on Monday. It was negative 44 degrees, it felt like. That's how bad it was in Nebraska. And like, yeah, that was the wind chill. It was really bad. And heck, I normally will wear just a jacket. I'm fine. No, I had to layer up because I'm like, wait, what? So yeah, and I found the post. This is what the top main university in my state was. Additional weather-related measurements due to the extreme cold temperatures due to certain strains on the city and power grid. UNL will be taking additional measures tomorrow, February 16th. As announced earlier, no in-person classes were being held Tuesday, February 16th. All remote and online classes would proceed. Students to check campus. University employees are asked to work from home if possible. UNL will reduce heating office to 55 degrees starting this evening. So they even lowered the temperature in that school to save power, which is like shocking. Like, wait, how are we doing this? And like, normally, this is maybe I'm just ranting. Like, I experience cold weather, but never to this point that they're rationing it. So I'm just really suspicious about it. What the hell what are they doing? Are they trying to control us even more? I mean, granted, they control us a lot on social media, T.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I feel like they're trying to control us even more. Like, it reminds me of, like, maybe it's, like, rationing shit. Like, maybe, like, I don't know if they did this in the Soviet Union, but they're trying to control our lives every day.
Yeah. It's something going on. Like Joe Biden was saying, it's going to be a dark winter.
Maybe a
I
dark
think
winter, and
that plays into it.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, there's more behind it. And it reminds me of that movie, It's the Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, I was
Has
thinking
anybody
about that earlier today.
Has anybody seen that movie? I know, hopefully I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Because you know how the weather, granted, it's not accurate, but I feel like it predicted a lot of things. Snow in Texas. And I hope, and all I'm going to say is hopefully I'm praying for Texas, but they should not experience this. And it's really difficult seeing that they're not prepared. And it's like, it's not their fault because they don't expect this weather. Us Northerners, we're used to it. Like, okay, we're prepared. I'm praying for Texas because they shouldn't have the citizens of Texas shouldn't go out with power for days. And I feel bad for that one girl and mother that died of carbon monoxide poisoning. That breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask y'all this, because I lived in the Carolinas for like 10 years. So if anybody has lived down there, you guys know we would get ice storms. We would get these occasional ice storms, especially when I lived in South Carolina. And it'd be, would get bad sometimes. And the ice would be so strong that the power cords would snap and break and everything else. And this would happen. I'm not going to say it happened every year, but the 10 years I was down there, it happened enough times. But that was one thing they would say is that, okay, there's an ice storm coming, and everybody would go to the store and stock up and get provisions and get all that stuff. But a lot of times, like if your home got hit with like the ice storm or the power was out in your neighborhood, I mean, it was the same thing. You just had to like wait it out, have generators, have, backup and stuff like that. So was there no warning at all for the people in Texas? Like, did nobody in Texas like see this coming? Because I've never lived in Texas. I don't know how their response is, but I know in the Carolinas, as they're getting like information, they would pass it out. You'd see it on the news. So maybe Texas is different. Now I understand like in the South, they're not going to handle snow like they do up north. Like in Minnesota, they're going to have the salt and the sand trucks out. They're going to go out on the freeways before the regular cars. Whereas down South, their only remedy, because they don't have salt trucks and sand trucks, because it just doesn't make sense to have it. It's not economical, because some years you may go without ever snow and ice. So for them, it's like we were just told to stay home. Just stay home. The kids would stay home. I even remember when my kids were younger, when we first moved back to Minnesota, and it was like their first time like really seeing snow. And my oldest was like in bed. And I was like, what are you doing? You have school? He was like, no, there's snow outside. Okay. He was like, we don't go to school when there's snow outside in North Carolina. And I had to remind him, you're in Minnesota. Like there is no snow days unless it's like really bad or really freezing. So they had to get used to, you know, having to go to school even in the middle of a snowstorm. So I guess that's my question for those in Texas. Was there any type of warning, or did people just not really take heed, or, you know, like what are you guys seeing and experiencing? So let me see. I'm just going to call on somebody. Hopefully they're from Texas. Mel Susan, Miss Mel, I'm going to go ahead and mute your microphone.
Hi, T. I am from Texas.
Okay, good. Hey, I was like, let me just pick, because I know everybody ain't from damn Texas. I was like, let's hope she's from Texas. So, okay, so did you guys get any warnings, or did it just come randomly?
We got, well, we did get warning. Our news stations were saying that it was going to be potentially cold and ice. But the thing is, in Texas, we may have ice for a day or two. And the levels of snow and ice that we got just caught us flat-footed. I mean, you can't go in somewhere in Texas, especially like where I'm at or where my parents are, and buy snow tires. It just, you don't have them.
You don't have that option, right?
No. And so what happened was this came in a lot more severe than we were anticipating. So I know when I came back from my brother passed away, so I came back Saturday night back up to where I live now, between Houston and Austin, and it was cold, but you could drive. People were stacking up on provisions and everything. But when that storm hit, there were so many wrecks and people going off the road. There's no salt, like you said, there's no sand. And some people, what can you do? Some were essential workers who had to go. And we've gotten, in the past 24 hours, our fire station said that their calls have doubled. It's bad. They are doing rolling blackouts here. And I'm lucky in that, one, I live near a medical facility, so I guess I'm on the grid for it not to go out.
Yeah,
but I also
near
work
a hospital or a medical place, they can't legally shut off the power in those areas.
Right. And I also work for a hospital. So I was able to work from home. And even though the hospitals have power, they're going through it as well. We're having linen shortages. People who are ill, you can't get your medicine, especially if it's being transported from long distances, or if you had to have a certain implant for surgery. So I'm really worried about the people who are elderly and who are sick and need their medication and can't get around.
Yeah, this is scary. I mean, I see people saying that they've seen more snow this year than they've ever seen in their whole life.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, even when I was looking at the pictures, I had to remind myself that I wasn't looking at Minnesota, because I've never seen that much snow in Texas. I'm just like, because the news lady was playing in it and she had on boots. I'm like, where the hell she get winter boots from? And she like had on like, you know, leggings, and, you know, she's like, I'm doubling, I'm laying up. And I'm just like, and that's stuff that we see here in Minnesota. So I'm just like, I can't believe that that's Texas. Like,
it really is. Yeah, and this is the most snow that I have personally ever seen. And the last time that it snowed, my parents lived down near Corpus Christi, and it's kind of like 30 miles inland from the coast. The last time it snowed there was 2004, and it was a couple of inches. There was no real ice. Everything was fine. But now they're catching this. My parents had to go stay with my aunt because their house was 32 degrees. I mean, it was a complete blackout, and a transformer blew, but that is considered low on the list. They have to deal with the more critical items first. And fortunately, they got power back today, but now they're cycling water, even where I'm at.
What do you mean cycling water?
So they're telling us to the water pressure, the water grid is losing pressure. So like, you're not supposed to drip your faucets anymore. Conserve as much water as you can. Otherwise it's going to be cut off.
Because I heard they also shut off a lot of the lights in downtown. It's
Um,
something that y'all have in downtown. I don't know if it was Houston or Dallas. It's hard to keep up with the cities. But they
yeah,
did the light, it's like a tall thing, like big tall statue or something. It's like something that lights up.
that's Dallas.
Okay, that's Dallas. So they said that,
Yeah,
they have only turned out that light 3 times
right.
the whole time
And
ever.
yeah, in Houston
Okay.
downtown, the reason it's lit up, a friend of mine sent me a picture, is because there are multiple major hospitals in downtown Houston or near it. So they're probably on the same grid. So downtown Houston is lit up.
Mm,
But as the other girl was saying, they're right about the infrastructure. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, but the Houston Chronicle posted this article about Rick Perry saying that Texans should be prepared to suffer through the cold so that the government doesn't get in their business. And that's a bunch of bullshit because we know he's warm and eating.
mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't, what people forget about Texas, not all of us are hardcore Republicans like that. Most of these people are in power due to gerrymandering and frankly, money and bribes, period.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we're left out here suffering, and I'm fortunate that I am not as cold or I have food and everything else, but it still worries me that I can't get to my friends who maybe don't, or someone I know who's elderly and sick. I can't get to them. I can't bring them their medicine. And that to me just stresses me out more than anything. This should have been handled. The infrastructure should have been winterized years ago.
Right.
And this should have been handled years ago. No one should have to live like this. And frankly, I don't know how y'all do it. I love cold, but give me my 100-degree heat back because you can come have this.
Oh yeah, it's different. I mean, it's nothing that you really ever get used to, but at least up here they know how to handle it.
Yeah. And, you know,
Um,
I wish we did, even if they had like the sand trucks. I know that we've had people who can't get into work with checking my work email. People are going into hotels, but the hotels are having trouble getting food and
well,
linens.
I heard the hotels are price gouging. That
Oh,
somebody had
yeah.
posted that when they try to go check in, the hotel told them it was $900 a night.
Oh, yeah. And what they've done now is the Texas government has put out this report, and they said, here's the number to call if you find price gouging. Because of course people will try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really something. Hopefully it should be done by Saturday, and then next week it's supposed to be up to 70 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just crazy. Who knows what else will happen?
Right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, sis. I appreciate it.
Anytime. I love you. Have a great day.
Love you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Let me go ahead and bring on Malachi. Malachi, you can go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey T, hey T
Hey.
Nation. Y'all
What's
can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I just wanted to come on here real quick and just let y'all know what's going on, specifically in my neighborhood. I'm in Jackson, Mississippi, and they were already in certain neighborhoods, they were either cutting off the water or the power. Some neighborhoods got their power cut off. We got our water cut off around 5 p.m. yesterday, and it has not come back on yet. Luckily, we have like a good bit of water in our storage room, like saved up.
Mm-hmm.
But today me and my dad had to go out and collect some water in like some bins to use to like flush the toilet basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had run out of water in the tub. Before the water had got cut off, we filled the tub up, but we ran out. So we had to go out and collect more. But
Where'd
it's
y'all
really,
collect the water from? From like the snow or?
no, the mosque that we attend,
Uh-huh.
one of the members there, he lives there. He had like a little water faucet, that he uses to like wash cars and stuff. And he
Okay.
allowed us to get some water from there.
Okay. Okay. That's
But
good.
yeah, thank God for him. But it's really crazy. I've never really, in all of my 22 years of living, I've never seen it get this bad. We were told that it would ice. We were told that we were given that warning a few days before it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever it snows or whenever it's like, it gets ice like this, whenever that happened in the past, it would only last a day. The sun would pop out in the evening, melt everything, and by the next day, it will still be cold, but
Thank
it'll
you.
go back to sunshine.
And
And
so hi, Luke.
Hey.
Okay, finish Malachi.
all right, but yeah, normally whenever it would snow or whenever it would get icy like this, it would only last a day. The sun would pop out in the evening, melt everything, and then the next day it would be cold, but it would be back to how it was.
Right.
This is the first time that it's just been this bad that like I've never. This is day three, if I day two or day three,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still looking outside my window and I'm still seeing a bunch of snow and ice on the ground. I've never witnessed that before.
Yeah, especially in places when you're talking about Mississippi. Like it doesn't, those are places where you just wear a light jacket in the winter. I
Right.
remember like, when I did used to travel before all this nonsense and I go to like, especially southern states, like around this time, and I'm usually getting off the plane in like my big old, jacket, and everybody's like, where are you coming from? Minnesota? Because everybody else is sitting there in like a sweat outfit. So it's crazy to even hear that there's that much ice and snow in Mississippi. Now, I don't know if you heard, we had posted in the Telegraph. I don't know if you got a chance to see it about that mayor that was going off in Texas. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Okay. So I know a lot of people were upset, very offended by what he was saying. And he did have a nasty undertone. But I also believe that he was low key trying to whistle blow, but just went about it in a shitty way because there's no way you could post something like that and think you're still going to be mayor the next day, right? So I think
Right.
he did that purposely and said it like that because he wasn't planning on being mayor anyways. But for me, I'm always going to look for like the truth in stuff instead of just getting upset, because just being upset and mad at what he wrote, that's not going to bring back anybody's power or water, right? So
Right.
what he was saying there was basically like, y'all are on your own. The government is not going to help you. Like, and I think people are starting to really wake up and see this, because people have been so used to, if I call this 1-800 number, if I call 911, we're going to have help, we're going to have services. But what happens when all of that goes down? And that's one of the things I've been saying like for the past year, if not even longer than that. Like what happens when these emergency services are not available? What happens when because like I said, when the person asked me that time on live, how do I feel about a World War III coming? And I said, the new war is not going to be fought on the ground. We're not going to be fighting with guns and swords. The new war is going to be fought, with the infrastructure and technology, and it's just ironic because I was talking about the grid going out and what are people going to do if this happens? And then it happens in Texas. And I think this is like a wake up call to people like, we got to get on our shit. Seriously. And I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Please don't get sensitive. But what I'm saying is that we have to get on our shit. When you have people literally saying, well, my food is spoiling, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And it's like you have to think smart. Just like how you said you and your dad went to the mosque to go try and get water. Like just thinking of other things, trying to help each other. This is where the community has to really come together. Because when it's said and done, you got the governor in Texas, you got what do they call it? ECOT? I think that's y'all's power source. They're arguing and pointing fingers. Meanwhile, people are going on day 4 without water and electricity. Like, you guys just understand, like, they're not really here for the people. They're here to get a check. They literally monopolize power. They've
Yeah.
turned into a stock trade. Like, I don't know how much I can drill that into people's heads. Like, this is scary. Everything is being monopolized, including the water. When you have certain entities who are now fighting for water, who are now commodifying land and things like that, well, who do you think is going to be left out of all these resources? It's the regular people. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it's really
exactly.
scary when you think about it.
It really is, and it was just and even it's not just the water thing too. Entergy sent out an email today to my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and they were basically saying that they're paying attention to whether or not people are preserving energy. If people aren't
Mm.
preserving energy, they're just going to cut the energy off. They're going to cut the lights off.
Even
And
if you
for
paid your bill, they can tell you, well, you're using too much energy, but they don't know you might be on a heart machine. You might have to have your
Exactly.
nebulizer for your asthma running. You know what I'm saying? So they're not
Exactly.
taking that into account. If you're using too much, we can just cut you off.
Yeah, it really is sad. And for us, it's scary because, we have an electric stove. All the food that we have to cook in order to eat, we
Mhm.
have to use that electric stove. And most of these restaurants, when me and my dad, when we were out today, I was paying attention to what was open and what wasn't. And most of these little fast food places were closed. I think the Walmarts here are closed. My sister, she had to go and get my niece some milk, and she had to go to Family Dollar because I think the Walmarts are closed.
Yeah, a lot of major stores are closed. A lot of grocery stores are closed, and they're closing it because they're saying these stores run up too much power. Because I mean, just think about how much it takes to power up a Walmart, every
Right.
refrigerator, the lights. You know what I mean? So that's why they're shutting it down. But in the same breath, what about people who didn't prepare and who don't have food or they're running low on food? People with small kids and they have to go get Similac, and it's very frightening. But it's for years, people have been sounding the alarms about, prepping and living off the grid, and they were called crazy tin hat, conspiracy weirdos. And it's just crazy that in 2021 and even in 2020, so much stuff has just been coming to fruition, and it's just making me wake up even more and just kind of rechecking everything we need. And like I told the one young girl, the one young woman, she lives in Cali, and she was saying even though it's not cold there, she still wants to go in the prepper room and see what things that she can get. And that's what I tell her about. Don't get comfortable. Don't ever get comfortable and think that it won't happen here. Because let's say it's not a snowstorm, it could have been a hurricane that could have knocked the grid. So just make sure that you're just prepared no matter where you live, because you just never know. There's not really a particular place. I've lived in damn near every coast. I don't think there's like really a particular place that's super safe. Even in the Midwest, we get tornadoes, down south, hurricanes, West Coast, earthquakes. So you just want to be prepared for everything at this point.
Yeah, and we really, when you think about it, even with Corona, so many people weren't prepared. They didn't think they needed to be prepared because it was something that was going on overseas. But
Mhm.
once it did hit the US, people started losing their minds.
Right.
So even with that, it's just all of this is just really scary. Honestly, I'm praying that our power don't get cut off.
Yeah.
We aren't like just 100% struggling with the water being off, thank God, but it'll be a different story if that power goes out. So I'm just trying to stay prayed up. I'm praying for everybody in Texas who's, directly affected by all of this. I saw today somebody said a 5-day-old baby had passed away because the power in that child's home had been out for like 32 hours.
Yeah. And the baby, I think,
And
froze to death or something.
that's just sad. I have a niece and nephew, 2 and 4, a
Mhm.
little sister who's 13, everybody in this house ain't grown. So
Right.
it's really scary, but I'm just trying to stay prayed up, and I'm just trying to pray for everybody who's affected by this. So
Definitely.
that's all I want to say. Thanks so much for allowing all of us to have this platform to speak and just talk about all this.
No, you're very welcome. And thank you for calling in and sharing what's going on. And I'm definitely going to keep y'all in prayer as well.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
All right. So let me go ahead and bring on the Biz 95. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey T.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Oh my gosh, I got me on the line, man. Yeah, I live in Texas, so
Okay, so you are in the great state of
in
Texas.
Texas. So I live like maybe like south of Houston, so not too much, not too far.
Mhm.
We so far do have power and we have lights. A lot of my friends are have lost lights and also water. And even if they do the drip thing to help the pipes not freeze, their pipes have been busted. And so they're having to try to get out their house because they have all that damage coming through and trying to link up with other people that can stay with them. Their power goes out too. So it's just really crazy right now. And I know also there's been other people who Just
Hold on.
trying.
Do you have your laptop like up? Because it's a bunch of backfeed.
Hold on, that's
Or
my.
is there somebody else talking? Hold on.
It's family in the background. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was somebody
Loud.
interrupting. Sorry.
But I was gonna say that some people have been trying to just stay warm. They
Mhm.
bring their barbecue pits or like gas
God.
inside their house, and so
Y'all, if y'all don't know, please stop bringing barbecue pits in the home. People are
Exactly.
dying from doing that.
a lot of people have been going into the hospital because of that, because they're getting sick because of the carbon monoxide.
Yep.
It's like things that you think would be common sense aren't so common.
Nope.
So it's just been one day after another. I know here, hold on, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah. I know here that some of the stores have been open, like Walmart, Kroger's, different things, HEB. I don't know if you know what that is, it's only in Texas. But it's like they've been open, like not all day, but like 12 to 6, like a shortened time, so people can go in and get stuff. But when you go in the store, everything's gone. There's nothing in there. So it's really hard to try to get the items that you need to make it. And I know for me, I've been out of work for the past 3 days. Tomorrow we're gonna try to open, do like a half day to see how it goes. But we weren't having power at my job. So we're gonna see how that goes. And it's just been just taking a day at a time. And like you were saying earlier, you know, we're not used to this. We don't get snow. I always say, like, in Texas, you get all the seasons in 1 week. So it's like to have winter, it's like we got snow, it's snowing, and it was horrible. No one was prepared for it. People are slipping and sliding on the roads, and most of the major highways are like cut down. You can't drive on them. And then it's supposed to be another freeze tonight, supposedly. So they just got to see what's gonna happen. But it's been a mess. A lot of people, a lot of friends are out of, you know, they thought they were doing the right thing and it's still not working for them. So it's just, what can you do?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for letting me come on. I always want to come and say hi, Miss T. I'm gonna say my favorite line that you always say. They ain't ready for that conversation.
No, they're not. They're not ready at all.
Love you.
Thank you. Love you too. And I see a lot of people were asking about the grill situation. There was a doctor on the news in Texas, and he said that he's had more kids come into the emergency room in the past 48 hours. I think he said they were up to about 15 from carbon monoxide poisoning, because parents are getting so desperate because it's cold that they're leaving their stoves on, they're bringing barbecue grills in the house and grilling, not grilling food, but you know, they're sparking up the charcoal grill to stay warm. You gonna stay warm, but you might be permanently cold. You know, like, please Google, ask somebody if you don't know, you know what I'm saying, research it. Should I bring my grill in the house? Because that carbon monoxide poisoning is no joke. One of my, they were like, she's like a play cousin of mine. This happened when we were like in 7th grade. And so my play cousin, Nikki, and she was really good friends with this young girl. And so she had met this dude at the Mall of America, and they had been talking for a few weeks. And so she snuck out the house, you know, 7th grader, not, you know, we don't think when we're 13, 14, right? So she snuck out the house to go meet up with the dude, and they ended up hanging out in his car in the garage, and he had the car on to keep them warm because this was in the middle of winter in Minnesota. And long story short, they found both their bodies the next day. So she died at 13, and I think he was probably like 16 or 17, and they were found in the car dead. So it's that serious, you know what I mean? So I've that story has never left my mind. That's very tragic. But yeah, it's no joke. And I get it. It's like, okay, well, do we choose hypothermia versus that? But that carbon monoxide will put you to sleep, and you're thinking you're just going to, like, you're falling asleep. You're not going to wake up. So I wouldn't test it. The best thing you can do in these situations is blankets and body heat, you know, and even building like a tent, if you have like some type of tent, and staying in there, because that kind of keeps the heat in, you know, in that area. But yeah, you don't want to play around with the stove or any type of barbecue grills, unfortunately. So, and if you're going to go sleep in your car and have your car running, make sure you do it outside. Do not be in an enclosed garage or an enclosed space when you go into your car. So, just a word to the wise. So let me go ahead and bring on. Let's see here. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Cheyenne 101. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Okay. How do you pronounce your name?
Shoe in.
Shuin. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So what are you experiencing down in Dallas?
I'm seeing a lot of crazy stuff on the news. Like I saw a ceiling fan frozen because the
ceiling fan?
pipes, yes, the pipes from the ceiling, it flooded the ceiling like in an apartment. And the ceiling fan is frozen in ice, and like everyone's houses are flooding because of the pipes are bursting. There's just a lot going on here in Dallas.
So that's like those apartment, the one I was showing on Discord, how it was like flooded in their apartment. So all
Yes.
of that is from people's pipes that are running through other people's apartments, flooding and going into other people's apartments, the water.
Yes.
Mm.
And people's power are out, so their houses are literally freezing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can see your breath in your own home. People are driving in it even though they shouldn't. So some people are going like 60 miles per hour and da-di-da-di-da. And I'm just like, it's scary. The stores aren't getting trucks in. So if you go to the store, not only are the shelves empty, they're not getting trucks in because the trucks aren't being delivered because they're just being cut. I work at the grocery store, so I know we were not allowed to do orders yesterday, so there's not going to be any trucks coming in. So whatever's
What
in
do
the
you mean
store,
orders? Like you talking about people who call into the store and say they want to order pickup?
the orders for the store itself for like all the groceries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the grocery trucks are not running.
Wow.
So yeah, it's
So
really
this is
bad.
so this has put a big dent in the supply chain down to Texas.
Yes.
And on top of the stuff that you guys grow and produce for the rest of the nation. Because I think a lot of people don't realize like how much of our stuff is grown in these southern states, like Texas and Florida, Mississippi, and things like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really bad. Almost everyone I know don't have power. But I'm fortunate enough, like someone said earlier, I live near a hospital, so I have power and everything.
Well, that's good. You know, just take that as a blessing right there. Don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. You know, that's just a blessing that you're afforded. So I'm glad you still have power and you're hanging in there.
Yeah.
But I know it has to be hard, you know, because you have family.
Yeah.
And when you're hearing their stories, like, because, you know, I have friends down there, subscribers, and it's just like, wow, I'm just shocked by the stuff that I'm seeing. And I think what's bothering me more is just the rest of social media. It's like, I don't really see a lot of people talking about this outside of like the news. I don't really see it on the Shade Room like that or in other, you know, stuff that I saw more footage and more coverage on Tory Lanez's hair than what's going on in Texas. I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
But it's I didn't see all the stuff that's going on in Texas trending.
Yeah.
But the first 3 trends was Tory Lanez going bald. Look at Tory Lanez's hair. And I'm just like, who cares? There's literally 4 million people out here without power. Like, it boggles the mind, the stuff that people just say so distracted with, you know. And I know the one girl that was in Texas I think she's the one who posted about the baby that died. I mean, she was just going off and really upset because she feels like they're being ignored, you know, on social media, like nobody's taking it serious. But again, that's that mentality that we have that, well, that's bothering those people over there. It doesn't affect me. Remember, we got that in Minneapolis with the riots, you know, and I was crying and like, you know, stop burning down my city because we actually had to live here and shop here. oh, you're being sensitive. Oh, they got insurance. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's the white man's building. But then when Atlanta started getting burnt up, then all of a sudden Killer Mike was crying, T.I. screaming, oh no, don't bring that to Wakanda. Well, hold up now. So y'all thought the energy was just gonna stay in the Twin Cities and not manifest other places? Oh, okay. So that's why, again, like we should all care about what's going on in anybody's city, because it's Dallas now, but it could be Atlanta tomorrow.
Exactly.
You know, it's Houston, Texas right now, and it could very well be Arkansas or Alabama because the storm is traveling. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for calling in and sharing that information with us. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for letting me speak.
Definitely, definitely. Let me go ahead and bring on Nubula in the Sky. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey T, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? Sorry, I gotta get my microphone. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I'm the one that sent you the rainbow picture. So as a fellow empath, I'm sending you
okay. So
positive
you made
vibes.
it into the Discord. I'm glad.
I did. I was like, yeah, I had faith. I was like, God is gonna allow me into the Discord, and the angels are gonna open. You just have to be patient and let things manifest into their own liking. So I wasn't when when you weren't allowing people, I was like, it's okay, it's not my time. You know, if it will happen, God will let it happen, and it did. So yeah.
Right. I'm one of the first people that I emailed on Patreon, like, come on in. And I've always loved your energy. So thank you so much.
Oh, of course, of course. So I have two things I wrote down. The one thing that because I want to go on like I don't know if it's esoteric, but I don't know, but remember like just a few weeks ago, they were celebrating Texas. Oh, that Texas has everyone's moving to Texas. Everyone's building a home in Texas. Everyone is like Texas, Texas, Texas. So many companies are moving to Texas. Elon Musk was the last car manufacturer that moved from California to Texas, and everything, like I think it was like HP, it was like all these like technology companies. They're even planning on moving the NASDAQ to Texas. I don't know if you saw that information, but they're planning on moving Wall Street basically to Texas.
I didn't hear about that. Wow.
Yeah, so they're talking, they didn't say it's official, but they're saying with the whole coronavirus and the whole people are trying to move out of like expensive states like Illinois and New York and California, like they're all glorifying like Texas and Florida, like right now, like because of the low income tax rates. So I just find it very like ironic that now all of a sudden they're in the news and they're like under in snow. And I'm part of me, you know, my T hat, and I was like, I wonder if this is CERN. I wonder if like the weather is being controlled to like make Texas look bad because so many people were glorifying in the beginning. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Remember, Texas was one of the first states that was talking about seceding from the country.
Yes. And like it's almost like they're shaming them in a way. I don't know. I just get that vibe where they're like shaming them when they're like, see, this is what happens when you step outside the line. This is what happens when you do not conform to our rules. This is what happens to you guys. You want to live in a system where like that mayor that you said that was like, yeah, everyone's on their own. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just kind of like, I want to be very both-sided. So I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's just I'm trying to share the news and see if that resonates with anybody. And just making sure that like I don't know, like this whole thing that people are like shaming Texas, and it's a bad thing, but I guess I just find it very weird that literally like a few weeks ago, MSNBC, all these people were glorifying Texas, and then now it's like a different story and a different narrative. Like the duality of it is very interesting to me.
Speaking of duality, somebody wrote in the chat, Meg Thee Stallion, aka Tina Snow, Texas.
There you go. Yeah, see? Yeah, and then another thing too that I want to bring up, I guess something positive, is one of my brother, he currently works for a solar company. So right now he is busy. Like they sent him to New York and they sent him to California. And basically like they're saying they're like hiring like crazy. If you look for solar companies in your area, they're hiring like crazy because the demand is insane right now for solar companies. And a lot of people are switching off from the power grid to solar. And it's way more expensive because you have to pay the cost up front. And it's a little bit more complicated because if you have solar panels on your homes, basically like it kind of creates like this, like if you want to sell your home, like you have to ask permission of the solar company. It's something where it's like, I forgot what it is, but you can take your solar panels with you to your new home, but it's a little bit more complicated. But a lot of people are jumping ship with solar panels. And that's something that I think a lot of people should think about, is having their homes to be more like self-sustaining, where you can, your own home can produce your own energy. Like your own home can, even with like the water supply, like your own home can store its own like water system as well. I think I saw a home the other day that has both, like it stores energy, like it's a solar home, but it also stores water as well. And so I think, piggybacking what you're saying, it's like we have to start preparing like now, like because we just never know what is going to happen in the future. But I wish like what you said, like I guess being like being like part of like the energy conserving system home should be part of the mainstream narrative, and we don't see that much about. And that's it. That's all I gotta say.
No, you hit on some really good points, and a lot of people are agreeing with you. Yeah, they're even saying that the solar companies and stocks are going up, because at this point, the energy can only sustain so many people. Just like the water and so many resources are just being used. Right now it's like everything is at its wit's end. And I know that was a lot of issues for people in Texas that were saying, hell nah, don't all these California people stay where you're at.
Yeah.
Because y'all are going to drive up our property taxes. And then soon Texas will be like LA, where it's so expensive and things like that. And where only certain people can afford to live in certain areas. And it's like everything is just getting tapped, like all the resources. And it's scary. And that's why people have to get on it. Like I said, like the goofy news and the viral stuff, that's cool for like a day. But always be checking on what's going on in your own backyard. Because if you don't know what's going on around you, there's nothing Beyonce can do for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If you can tell me every outfit she's ever worn to the Grammys, but you don't understand that carbon monoxide can kill you, there's a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? And people just really have to start preparing, because like that mayor said, it was very harsh, but from that harsh, message that he put out, he told me everything I need to know. You on your own.
Right.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, no, totally. And I want to piggyback of one thing. I sent this in the Discord, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Weeknd's Super Bowl performance. Like I don't want to get too deep into that because I know this is different, but an article that came the day of, like right after the Super Bowl performance, I saw this article from NBC Chicago, and it said the cold spell hitting Chicago area this weekend isn't going to let up anytime soon and could be the longest stretch. And I just was like, when I saw that, I was like, the wording of it, like the copy of like how they did it, I just something wasn't right with that. And that was like in the Super Bowl weekend. And I sent that in the Discord, and I just thought it was just kind of a little bit weird. But now that we're seeing all this stuff, it's just kind of, again, I don't know if I'm reaching too much or I'm thinking too much, but I'm like you, where I like to piece things together. Maybe if it might fit, maybe if it doesn't, but it's always good to see multiple sources of news and see how some of this stuff correlates to other things. So I appreciate, that's why I like the Discord group, because we get to share all information. And so
right. No, I'm the queen of reaching, and that's fine. I love a good reach. Somebody in there now talking about, Beyonce's new line is called Icy Park, and she's from Texas. And to some people that might be a reach, but again, we live in such a crazy world, and it's like these people who run stuff, they're always dropping little clues.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So hell, as I see the clues, I pick them up. Shit. I don't care.
Right? Me too. I'm like, I pick up the crumb because I was like, wait, what did that person say? What did they say? Oh, and one last thing. I know I'm probably reaching like the last thing. Mr. Robot on Amazon Prime. Y'all need to check that.
I saw some of that.
Y'all need
Kat is like, yes, that is my show.
Yeah.
Catch up. I watched like the first season and fell off, but it was really good.
It's good. It's one of those things where I might have to rewatch it because I will do yoga and I'm like listening to it while I'm doing my yoga. And then on season 3, they started talking about how they're switching into a digital currency, and it talks about a big hack. The whole point is about a big cyber attack happening in the United States, and how a portion of it, I don't want to hear the whole thing, but there's topics of like a big hack happening in the United States. And then another portion of the show is they talk about how the UN and all these countries are trying to merge into a digital currency, and that China, like they want China to be part of this digital currency, but China was like, fuck y'all. We don't need y'all. We don't need to be part of this digital currency that you guys, that mess that y'all created. And so I was like, God damn. And
that's what's happening now in the real world.
Exactly.
Predictive programming.
Exactly. And ironically, this happened during the President Obama-Trump presidency. So the time frame is around the same time. So I just find all of this to be like very, very weird. Because I don't know, I think the show came out in 2014 or 2013. But yeah, I just find very correlation from like those events that I'm seeing to like now. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the wealthy info. I really appreciate it. It was really
good.
Of
course, T. Okay, nice talking to you. Okay, bye, T.
Bye. So let me go ahead and bring on Kebra Moore. Miss Kebra. Go ahead and unmute your microphone. I think she's trying to get unmuted.
Okay.
All right, we can hear you now.
Okay, good. So I'm in Texas. I'm in I hate being on my phone. So yes, I'm in Texas. So I'm in Granbury, Texas, near Fort Worth. And so yes, this is crazy. I literally have no water in my house right now. None whatsoever. So I have 2 units in my house. So I have a heating unit on the right side and the left side, and which is weird because on my right side of my house, where my master bedroom is at, I have no heat. And on the left side, and I have water. I had water. And then on the left side of my house, I had water. I mean, I had heat and no water. So I didn't even have any water till this morning. I was like, I have a dog that have an eye ulcer, so I had to go to the vet to get some more of his prescription. And my neighbor texted me. They was like, hey, do you have water? And I was literally in the bathroom about to turn the water on to wash my face. I have nothing. It's 7:40 right now. We still have no water. I just ran some water in my tub as much as I can get. I started going old school. I emptied an ice tray out of my tub, out of my ice box, out of my refrigerator, put it in the tub. I have 3 cases of water. So I boiled some water, did a little wash up, and I'm like, I just got to do what I got to do. You know, it's really sad because I work with ISD. I teach music, and we have not been to school. And it's crazy because that big car accident that happened earlier this week, that happened like right by my job. And so if I've been going to work, I probably would have been in that car accident. It's like literally down the street from my job. Yeah, but it's nice to finally talk to you, T. I know we talk on your live a lot of times and stuff. But now you can put I know I look crazy right now. It's kind of cool in my house.
No, you're trying to stay warm. I ain't mad at you. I got on the Delta hat and everything.
Yeah. Hey, I got to do what I got. And I actually met a young lady in the Discord. And we've been texting or whatever. So I didn't realize we had like a lot of people in Fort Worth that's a tea sipper. So that's good to know, because I'm literally, my husband's in the military, so he travels a lot. And then I have a son that's in the military, and my other son is away in college. So I'm at the house alone all the time. So it's good to be, in the Discord, outside of my sorrows or whatever. And I can just, talk to other like-minded people. So it's good. But that's pretty much what we're going through. Of course, I got on the Zoom kind of late. So I know y'all heard about the rolling power, where they're turning up people powers.
Yeah.
That's happening to my family in Houston. And luckily we all have gas fireplace and gas stove. So at least we have that. But the people that don't have gas, is all electric, they just shout out. And it's sad. And I don't know if y'all talked about this too, but it was said that the governor, which is Abbott, wants to fire the CEO of the electric company.
Yeah,
because
I'm not feeling the blame game.
Right.
I feel like they're pointing fingers because they're both guilty.
Right.
Sometimes like when you catch your kids doing something, like, I didn't do what he did. He did it. But
right.
Y'all done did some shady shit. And they're trying to quickly throw each other under the bus. Because I'm not feeling how they're more focused on blaming each other than trying to get these grids fixed. Because even if you say that it's the power company, at the end of the day, there's been several governors. And when I talked about this earlier, they said that those grids have been failing for the past 10 years, that they were told to winterize them 10 years ago. So what happened? Why didn't you hold them accountable 10 years ago to winterize the grids? So now you're trying to retroactively do something after the crisis is here. I'm not buying it. I think
not only that, you're firing him is not going to do it's not going to solve what we got going on right now.
Right.
And I'm like, worst case scenario, I told my neighbor, look, if we run out of water in the tub, we're gonna just have to melt some snow.
Yeah.
To flush the toilets, survival modes. But I don't want to take up no more of your time, because I know there's a lot of people on here. But thank you for chatting with me.
Definitely. And thank you for calling in and letting us know how you're doing.
Okay, good.
All right. Have a good evening. So let me go ahead and bring on Ateria Taylor. I hope I said it right. Ataria?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
Okay, I was like, oh my goodness. I'm doing okay. And it's so funny, you just talked to Kibra. I'm the one that we've been talking over Discord this afternoon.
You see energy? You see that energy right there, that connection?
Look, and look, y'all forgive me, don't judge me. I've been wrapped up in this comforter. I'm in this bed. But I just this Fort Worth thing, I was without electricity for 36 hours. I was fortunate enough to have someone who is a mile up the road from me who had electricity, who had water. I stayed with her for the night, came back here, and then they cut the water off. I'm in an apartment complex, but I'm downtown Fort Worth. So I'm like, wait, how am I in a place like this? And then I reach out to other people. It's like all over the Metroplex. Water, we're checking for water pipe issues, and it's like, no, I don't think so. Something is going on here. And I don't know. I don't know what. Just like Keeper, I'm a school teacher. I would say, please, 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 y'all keep these kids in your prayers. The pandemic, I'm in middle school now. I moved from high school to middle school then this last year. This is hard on these babies. Now we got snow. I haven't seen my kids in a week. So y'all keep these students in your prayers who are virtual learning. Just please keep us, the state, while people try to make money off of our suffering, just keep us all in your prayers.
No, definitely. And I can just imagine like what these younger kids are going through. I mean, it's bad enough they don't have their social life. They don't have their friends. They got to walk around.
That's all they know.
Right. And that's all they should know as kids. you know, having fun, because you're only a kid for so long, and now they're having to deal with adult pressures, you know, not only COVID, and then now you're talking about, you know, the ice storm and the snowstorm, and now you go to turn on your water, it's not there. Some kids are in the dark, you know, like this is just, it's really frightening. And I'm starting to think, like, is this some type of, like, are they testing out Texas first? Because y'all are the biggest state in the union.
Absolutely.
You know, like the other
And
gentleman was saying earlier, like, is this some type of punishment? Because everybody was running to Texas.
Texas has always, you know, moved by the beat of its own drum. We've always been that way, you know, and then, you know, because I think, okay, after, look, I'm gonna go back old. After 2000, the next election I voted in, the primary was talking about Texas being deregulated in 2002. And they sold it to us like, oh, you're going to be able to have multiple, you know, electricity companies, utilities, you know, this is going to help us. But now, in hearing, you know, okay, 10 years ago, they told them this, and I'm like, this is all a money grab. Texas was just trying to do its I'm big in Texas thing. And now, you know, the lady was in the garage with her daughter. You talked about it. They were trying to keep warm. I can't blame them. Didn't realize, hey, lift up the garage some. It passed away in her car. The babies passed away. Like, because Texas just wants to be Texas. And you have things like this occurring 20 years later. But it's always been coming down the pipeline. But we were just going about just trying to live our regular lives, and we weren't aware. But
and I think you know, what a lot of people don't realize is that the infrastructure in America is bad. I mean, it's hundreds of years old. And I didn't even know that until the bridge collapse happened here in Minneapolis in 2007.
I remember.
And I remember I was living in North Carolina at the time. And so when it happened, it was just scary, because it's like literally people are going home from school and work. It's a bridge that's traveled hundreds of times a day. And to just be on a bridge and it just collapses. And there's a lot of bridges in the Twin Cities. Like, that's what connects us, Minneapolis to St. Paul and vice. So we're always going over bridges. And I remember having to fly back in 2007 just because we knew people who were affected by that, who got hurt, a few people who died. And it was scary, like, you know, just having to, like, feeling of dread going over bridges. And then what I realized is once I started traveling around the country and I went like to like Louisiana, they got some old bridges down there. They're damn near in the water. I'm like, what in the, I have horrible anxiety ever since the bridge collapsed, because a lot of the infrastructure, what people don't realize, they're not being updated like that.
They're not being updated, T, but the city and the states are fully aware of their condition. And that's what ticks me off. So, because it's like, oh, your tax dollars, but the tax dollars just go to make sure you're okay.
Right. Because I every time I go to New York, I'm like, where is y'all's tax money going? Because these roads, these potholes, like you got to pay
these
toll
rats
to go here, a toll to go there, and then the whole time you driving, you like, boop, 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 boop. I'm like, where's the people's money going? It does not make any sense.
No, but most of us are just trying to make it day to day, so we're not really cognizant of it until situations like this in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Alabama, and we're like, wait, what? We thought, but we're the ones, you know, who are made the fool of, and it's so sad. It's so sad.
It is. Well, thank you so much for calling in, sis. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Y'all have a good evening. Stay warm, y'all.
You too. Let me go ahead and bring on Mr. Takyo Shit. The name always cracks me up.
Hey, T.
Hey, how are you?
How are you? I didn't know you were gonna call on me. I forgot to say I love your YouTube channel, everything you do, the Discord, everyone in the Discord. This is like our own little, kind of niche. Like I don't like people like, yeah, like when everything is going on, I'll like let me go to the Discord. let me see what they're talking about. So I wanted to talk about how like we as like the people, we have a lot of power, but we always continue to get played by the system. And I want to people to show that this is a prime example of what I'm talking about, of like us being really played. And I feel like this is a test run of what's really coming down because what they would do, I noticed every time I would kind of like go in and out watching the news and stuff, and seeing like what they're up to doing with their propaganda and fear mongering tactics. I would go and see what they're saying, and the things they would say and do it's kind of like disturbing, because at workplace they usually keep the TV on, so I would kind of like watch YouTube videos, but also kind of hear what they're saying too at the same time. You know what I mean? And I think a few days ago, I was watching the TV. I'm pretty sure, I don't know who, I don't know what celebrity was it, but I'm not sure. But as I was watching, let me just say this, as I was watching the news and they were talking about of cases going down and stuff like that, I noticed how they swiftly turned from going from COVID-19 cases to saying, "Oh, look, we need to focus on the weather that's about to come." And that shook me when they were literally saying that for the past 2-3 days. They're like, the weather is gonna change due to like now they started to talk about climate change and how things are gonna get colder and maybe our season is changing. And I thought that was kind of weird, in my opinion. But one thing I wanted to say also was that let me go back to what I was saying. As we as the people, we have to stop like letting things go by and saying, "Oh well," you know what I mean? We have to really be like, kind of take these things seriously and stop seeing the word conspiracy theories as just a joke, because that's really not gonna let us, really go far as a people, because we're always like divided by something. Like when it comes to like food shortages, or them manipulating the weather, and them constantly tampering with our water and not using our tax money and giving to other countries, doesn't make any sense. But I honestly, I feel like right now, that the situation that's going right now, I feel like people should be very prepared. And because in the movies and television, they tell you guys what's coming down the pipeline and people sees it as a joke. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your input. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no welcome. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Let me go ahead and bring on Kat the Cat. Kat, go ahead and mute your microphone.
Oh, Lord. Hey!
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So I just wanted to talk about a few things, nothing too big. So I live here in Baltimore, Maryland, but I have, family that lives in Texas and stuff. And my sister's, younger brother, we haven't gotten in contact with him in, 2 days now. We wound up getting in contact with his mom this morning, and she told us their power was completely out. They don't have any water. They're trying to figure out, what they can do, if they can come back here to Maryland, because it's insane. Like, she has younger children and she doesn't want to keep leaving them in the house. It's cold, you know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to go through something like this. It is hard. It's insane. And I got on the live a little bit late, on the Zoom a little bit late, but I kind of caught the tail end of one of the conversations. They were talking about pretty much the government cutting off, you know, the power and stuff. And I feel like that is absolutely insane. Like, you know, you have, you know, pretty much the poor people who you guys are taking electricity from. And 90% of these people have small children.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? A lot of them, you know, are elderly. So, like, pretty much what you guys are doing is just pretty much, excuse my French, but saying fuck everybody. And, you know, keeping you know, the electricity on for the rich and all that stuff. And I'm just like, what is the point? Like, if you're gonna do it, you know, everybody goes through it. Everybody has to, you know, go through not having electricity, stuff like that. But for y'all to, you know, just kind of just like, say like, oh, you know, we're just gonna conserve it for them, like that is just, you know, it's completely, it's insane. And another thing I wanted to talk about, you know, people's pipes and stuff bursting. You know, I dibble and dabble in TikTok sometimes, and nothing but the apartment buildings, you know, being flooded, the hotels, even the hotels, the pipes are bursting in the hotels.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's I pay $900 a night and the pipe don't burst.
Exactly. Like, I was just like, what the hell? Like, oh my goodness. Like, one lady, her, you know, her roof completely caved in. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, I can only, and you know what, I cannot even imagine, you know, what these people are going through, what they're feeling. The last big snowstorm, you know, we had, I think I was in middle school, and I'm 26 now. And, you know, even then, you know, we didn't lose power. We didn't, you know, like, you know, lose anything, you know, that would have been, you know, substantial. And, you know, even besides that, like, as far as just, you know, like anything else, like the last tornado we had, what was that, back in 2010? And this was, you know, close to where I live, a complete like row of apartment buildings, you know, were completely torn apart, and they still haven't rebuilt that ever since.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, like, I cannot imagine what these people are going through. And, you know, I just keep everybody in my prayers. It just, you know, the entire state of Texas, because this is crazy. Like, what these people are going through is absolutely insane. It's absolutely crazy. You know, I empathize, and just it is so crazy. Like, and then for it to be the state of Texas, you know, that was really weird. Like, when I first saw that, you know, Texas was getting snow, I was like, Texas? When's the last time they got snow?
Like, what you mean Minnesota? What you mean Texas?
Right. But that's all I had to say.
Okay.
That's it. All right.
Well, thank you so much, sis. Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome.
Now, another thing I want to add, don't y'all find it strange that all of these pipes are bursting in these apartments and I guess hotels and stuff now? So it kind of lets you know, like, how shoddy the piping was when they put it in. Like, they didn't even winterize it, because for these pipes to just be bursting like bombs, that's insane. That's going to cause, it's bad enough you're in your home freezing because you may not have access right now to heat, or your water's not working, but then to have pipes burst, and then we've seen people's living rooms getting flooded, their televisions, you know, things shortening out. That is really crazy. It really is. And I know a lot of people are saying, I hope they had renter's insurance. I hope they did too. But we also have to remember that there's a segment of the population, they may not be able to afford things like that, you know, like renter's insurance, unfortunately. You know, but if you can afford it, always get renter's insurance. You know, if you own a home, you automatically have to have homeowner's insurance. But I know anytime I've had an apartment, it's like, it depends on who you go through, but it's not a whole lot. It's between usually 10 to 20 bucks at the most that I've ever seen it. But renter's insurance is very important, just for, you know, You just never know. But yeah, I just hope everybody who's going through those bursted pipes, I hope they do have renter's insurance, because that would definitely help them out. So let me go ahead and bring on Miss Rolando 713. If you could go ahead and mute your microphone.
Hey T.
Hi,
Can you
how
hear
are
me?
you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm in Corpus Christi, Texas, so I'm about 2 hours from the Mexican border, so pretty like far south. And nobody around me has electricity. Like we're fortunate because we live in an RV, so we're hooked up to propane and a generator.
So you're that far down, hold on. So you're that far south in Texas and people
Yeah.
around you do not have power?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like my parents, like we're all sharing a generator right now. We live in the RV, but we have some of our neighbors hooked up to our generator as well, just so they won't have to suffer, you know, like we're hooking people up at least enough to power like a little heater.
Mm-hmm.
So we're helping about 2 families, but I like something that just doesn't make sense to me is the first time it snowed in the South Texas where I'm at, it was 2004. We had a snowstorm come in 2004, but before that, it had been 100 years since my town had seen snow.
100
So
years.
so 2004 was the first snow. Then we had another one in 2017, and then we were supposed to have snow this weekend, but we just got a huge layer of ice, like everything's covered in ice. So I don't understand how in 2004, when we had our first snowfall, no pipes were bursting. And that's because my parents' house was made in the 50s. They didn't have insulation. Now they've remodeled it. But now that we didn't have snow and just a little bit of ice, it's like no electricity, all the pipes are bursting. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. If it was cold enough to sustain like a good snowfall in 2004, why weren't we seeing these issues? You know, and it's just like I understand our infrastructure has been bad. So it's like why are we suffering? Like why didn't we prepare if we noticed if it went from 100 years that it snowed in 2004 and now in my lifetime I've seen snow 3 times? Like how are they not, like they can't use that as an excuse anymore that, oh well, this never happens. We should have started preparing since that snowfall came in 2004. So it's like I just don't understand why they're letting us suffer like this. We're under water boil on top of having very low water pressure. So they haven't cut our water yet in my city, but we have a water boil in effect because some of the water's already been contaminated.
Oh, so that's what a water boil is? What is it contaminated with, did they say?
I don't have like the news, but on my phone they didn't say what it was. I don't know if it was E. coli or what, but it's just where the sewage couldn't handle, I guess, the melting ice and it started overflowing.
Oh my God. So it's not even safe right now to just drink your water.
Wow. At least in Corpus. And now my city in particular is one of those cities that really suffers from this like bad infrastructure. We're like notorious in Texas for having water boils at least every year and a half. Like our water system is bad as to begin with. But now it's like none of my neighbors have clean drinking water. None of the stores have bottled water. The filtration places that offer like alkaline water, they're out because the city's water pressure is low. So it's like everybody's really suffering where we're at. And I just asking
I'm
for
convinced. I am convinced with everything you guys have been telling me, just me listening to all this information, this is some type of dry run. This is some type of dry run for the rest of the United States. Strawberry agrees because she's like, yes, amen. It just is because it's too many things happening at once. And like I said, they had years to prepare and fix what they needed to fix. Still didn't fix it. And it's just
it's almost like it reminds me of Flint, Michigan, you know, because I feel so bad. Those people still do not have clean water. And it's like, it's a known problem. It's just not being addressed. And it's like people say, like, you know, I'm pretty sure every little town that doesn't get like national news coverage has had a similar problem where it's like these taxpayer funds, what are they actually being used for? Because like you said, our roads are crap. our, especially our city, like our sewage and water is always getting contaminated. Like there's always problems, and it's like, where is this money actually being put to use? But yet with the COVID, the vaccines, it's like everybody was ready, everybody's getting their shots. Like there's money for that. But it's like there's other pandemics that affect our society that aren't getting addressed.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably have more people dying this week from, for the freezing temperatures or not having clean water. Like we said, the lady and her children getting the carbon monoxide poisoning, but the COVID thing is still like looming there in the background, and they have money for that. So
man, this is
yeah,
scary. Well, we're definitely keeping all y'all in prayer. I just hope everything works out, and God bless you for just helping out your neighbors and looking out for them. Because like I said at the beginning of the stream, we're all we have. Because at this point, they're not coming to save you. They're busy.
And
busy.
I just wanted to say everybody to like keep an eye out. Like we've been seeing it with the stocks. It's like they're attacking the middle class and the poor right now. They're attacking everybody. So it's like stock up, like you've been saying for a long time, on your canned foods, on your water. Like I've been stocking up on that. That's kind of helped. But I mean, it's only going to get worse. And it's like we need to barter with our neighbors. Like we can't hoard everything for ourselves. We need to barter. We need to trade, and just like you said, look out for one another. So
definitely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For calling in. I appreciate you.
Thank y'all. Y'all stay safe, stay warm.
Definitely. Let me go ahead and bring on Ceci 12. Ceci 12, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, T?
I'm
It
doing
is different.
good.
It's an honor to finally get to meet you. I'm like a true tea sipper. I've been a tea sipper since I was pregnant with my daughter, and she's about to turn 13 when you used to do hair tutorials and
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
So
I was just about
yeah.
to say she's
So
about to turn 3. Oh yeah, you're OG.
yeah. So I've been a tea sipper for a while, and I always tell my family about a lot of the things that you say. I send them your videos and stuff, and I'm like, Lovely Tea is always on point with everything, and we kind of like click with a lot of the stuff. So a lot of the things you say, we have like a true meeting of the minds. But I'm here in Houston right now,
Okay.
and unlike a lot, I mean, I did get prepared. I tend to go overboard every time there's some type of disaster. I buy way too much food. I always go overboard. And I said, I'm about to spend about $400 and buy too many groceries. And I'm just, not going to really need it. Well, we're sitting here, and I'm glad that I did that. But a lot of people have been suffering with us having our lights cut off. I had my lights cut off twice already. I think I came with the first wave. My lights went off Sunday. So Sunday my lights cut off, and they were off for a whole day. And the next day they came back on almost around the same time that they had went off. It was like 45 degrees inside of my apartment. Um, we barely have any water pressure, and I ended up calling this phone number. The next time they cut my lights off, somebody was circulating this number that you can call. And I called the number because my daughter was preemie, and she has to take breathing treatment sometime. Now, even though she's not sick, I just was going to use that as an excuse so they can cut my lights back on. And I ended up speaking with the lady, and she said she couldn't do anything about it, but she asked me for my address, and I kind of had a feeling after I talked to her she was going to do something. So like an hour later, my lights came back on, and they've been on ever since. But I went out the next day to get gas because something just told me, hey, this is the only thing you don't have. So I went and I started driving around, and I noticed everybody was trying to find gas. I sat at this gas station for about an hour and a half before I got a chance to fill up, and I filled up. And so now I'm starting to hear that there's no gas, or maybe the places that do have gas, they don't have power, so they can't turn on the pumps. So a lot of people don't have gas. My apartment complex, they shut the water off here. Uh, to protect the pipes. They said some pipes had burst and stuff, but I think they cut it off before it even happened. They just want to protect, the property.
Right.
But another thing I was going to say about the gas, my kid's dad works for a refinery, and he told me that they wasn't going to make gas for a month.
What?
And it made me think, why are they not going to produce gas for a month? Now they have gas on barges and they have supplies out there, but I know that's just going to drive the price of gas up, and it makes me wonder why they're doing that.
Sis, you know what this reminds me of? Remember when Hurricane Katrina happened? Because I lived in the Carolinas at the time and I was
Mm-hmm.
pregnant. I was pregnant with my youngest during Hurricane Katrina. And I remember when that gas line in Louisiana got hit, and I think some of the ones in Texas were affected. And it
Mm-hmm.
really affected, I don't know if y'all remember this back then, but it affected like the whole Southeast. And remember, there were lines. There were lines all
Yes.
North and South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
You had to wait in line to get gas, to fill up your gas cans because the pipeline had been disrupted. And that was scary because I was like 8.5 months pregnant. I was really high risk. So we had to have cans of gas in our, well, I didn't even have a garage at the time. Like we literally kept it like in the corner of the living room. You know what I mean? Just in case,
Mm-hmm.
I had to go into labor. But that's what it reminds me of, because why would they not be producing gas for, you know what I mean, for a whole month?
Yeah.
Like, what are they preparing
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, exactly. And he said they still have to show up for their shifts. So they still have to go to work. But the last few days, he's been staying at a hotel right by his job because they've been shutting down. So they're like shutting it all the way down. And I noticed every time it's a hurricane or a flood or something that happens with those plants, was, there's a lot of refineries down here in Southeast Texas. They have to shut it all the way down. And it might take a week just to bring it back up. The For this last hurricane threat that we had a few months ago, it he got like 2 weeks of overtime just so they could bring the plant back up. So it takes a lot of work for them to bring it back up,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes me think they're shutting it all the way down just so they won't have to won't have to produce any gas. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. But I was also we talk in my group chat because we my family members and I, we always talk about survival stuff. We've been coming up with different plans, and my brother was saying that he thinks that they're practicing grid down. So when my I noticed I was on the phone when my lights went off, and when my lights went off, my phone cut off. The phone
Your
has
house
no
phone or
your
your
phone
cell
service.
phone?
Yeah, my cell phone. Your
I'm
cell
like, who
phone has
uses
no
the house
connection.
phone? Why did the cell phone get cut
Yeah,
off?
that's what I'm saying. So
What?
I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and we were talking, and all of a sudden his phone cut off. And then about an hour later, he called me. He said his lights went off, and when his lights went off, his phone went off. And I mentioned this in our group chat, and my brother said they're practicing grid down. Like, if they want to cut everything off, they can cut it all off. Cut your
Something
phone
is
off, cut your
coming
lights
down
off.
the pipeline.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Something is
And
coming down the pipeline, y'all. If y'all ain't listening to what these folks in Texas are telling y'all, please listen up. Because
yeah,
the fact that they will cut off y'all cell phone at the same time that they're cutting off your power, and the cell phone is not attached to that,
it's
that means
not.
they're
That's
cutting off the
mhm.
cellular towers as well.
Yep. It's like they're practicing. I don't know if they have it synced together, or they're practicing to see if it's going to work when they do want to do that. Because I kid you not, when my lights went off both times, I couldn't use my phone for maybe at least 15 or 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I kept trying. I couldn't get through. So I just waited about an hour. Then I finally could get through. So the lights was off, and then I could. But I don't, there's no connection between that, between the two.
And
And I
imagine how
even,
scary that is, because we use our phones for everything.
mm-hmm.
From
Yeah.
communicating to calling, emergency services. And we've all been so dumbed down by technology. I don't even know my own damn phone number. So it's like, what are we
Mm-hmm.
going to do with our phones being able to be powered on if they take that grid away for the phones?
Mm-hmm.
That is
And
very frightening.
I was also thinking about, I think you mentioned it in one of the videos about Bill Gates and having the farmland,
Mhm.
having a lot of farmland. And I was like, they know that this is going to mess up the crops here. And it's like people like that, he wants to have a lot of control. It almost make me think he want us to be, under his control, to where he can control even the crops and stuff like that. So I just was kind of, wondering, because I'm 39, I'm going to be 40 at the end of this year. It's never snowed like this before. And when it does snow in Texas, we call it snow, but it hits the ground and it just melts away. You know,
Yep.
this is different. I have a snowball right now that my daughter got and made a snowball, and I burned it today, and it has a black spot on it. It burned, it wouldn't melt, you know. And I'm like, I don't know what that chemical is or what this fake snow is made out of, but it didn't wash away until it rained. It just kind of, you know, it's like it wasn't melting until a little bit of water got to it for it to melt. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a lot of just strange things going on. But thank you so much for just all the information that you've been able to provide. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that I could have an input. I know other people have to talk, but it was my pleasure getting on.
Definitely. Thank you so much, sis.
All right. Y'all have a good night. I'll be here watching.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, let me go ahead and bring on Opulent Bree. Bree, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hey everyone. So I live in Houston and I just, like everyone else, I'm experiencing the same thing. My lights were on Monday and Sunday night. It didn't go off until yesterday. Like, I think we went out to look for like coal just in case. Like, my husband and I were preparing for it. And then the next thing I knew, we got back and our lights were off. So we were without lights for like, God, it just came back on. Like right before the live started, the Zoom, our
Uh-huh.
lights came back on. So I was like,
Oh, wow.
oh my God, you know. I said, T must be said something for these lights to come on. No, but just kidding. But just like the young lady was just saying before me, um, our phones was not working. Like we were sitting here in the dark, the light from outside, obviously, but our phones was not working. I can't really get internet. There were times where I'm from Florida, so I was trying to call home. I couldn't even call home. I was trying to connect. So it's literally like we're trying to leave the house to see if we can like use our phone, like just so that I can call back home. My husband's not from here either, so he's trying to call back home. My husband's Nigerian, so he's trying to call back home and like let his family know what's going on. And we're just here, like freezing cold, trying to not just sit in the car. And another thing is gas is not there are a lot of places running out of gas. Like all within our zone, we live in South Houston, all within our zone, the gas is out. We literally have been looking for gas for like 2 days. We finally found somewhere that had gas, but the price is like going
Yeah.
skyrocket. So before this happened, maybe gas was like 199 some places, 209 some places. We literally saw some place that was like 235 today.
I remember during Katrina, it got up to $5 in South Carolina. And South Carolina
Exactly.
had the cheapest gas in the nation at the time.
And exactly here, gas is usually cheap, especially because it's oil and everything out here, oil and gas. So gas is usually cheap, but gas is going up tremendously. For places that do have it, we even got to like we got to certain gas stations, and as we were waiting in line, they ran out of gas.
Yep. Yep.
And so it's just been like really scary to the point where like we waited in line at a grocery store this morning for 2 hours. People were so angry because people were coming and trying to cut in line. People were cursing people out like, no, I've been waiting here since 7 o'clock in the morning. Grocery store didn't open till like 10. We were literally just waiting and waiting and waiting. Like my husband and I were like trading places. Like, okay, you go sit in the car, I'll wait for 30
Damn.
minutes. Yeah, it's
This
been
is like an apocalyptic movie. Like I'm getting anxiety listening to this because it's not fake. This is like what my real tea sippers are going through.
exactly. It's like I'm not an anxious, well, I'd be lying if I say I don't get anxiety and stuff like that, but I try to like be very patient. But this has been something totally different. Like even during Hurricane Harvey, like I wasn't one of the ones that lost power. I was blessed during Hurricane Harvey. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we've had like other storms, other flooding. I've always been blessed in the 6 years I've been here in Houston, but this has been the most like terrifying situation because I don't have family I can go to and like, oh, okay, you have lights. We just got gas a couple hours ago. Before then, we had no clue when we would get gas. We were literally going around, like both of us have cars. We were driving around my husband's car, like, please don't let us break down. Please don't let us break down because we literally could not find gas anywhere.
Mm.
So it's very scary. I work for one of the biggest hospitals here in Texas, and my boss is like, oh, you have to come to work tomorrow. He doesn't care that we don't have, you know, lights, that we don't have gas. It's if you can get here, you can get here. But 9 times out of 10, you need to get here. And I live far from my job. So it's not like okay, I can like, there's no street, the system, the bus system, the transit system here is not working.
Oh,
And
wow.
even
So
if
the
it was,
public
it's not.
transportation is down too right now.
Yes, yes. So it's not like I can just hop on and be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to work, you know. So luckily I was able to find gas, but outside of that, I didn't even know how I was going to be able to go to work tomorrow because, and COVID is still going on. I still have to, you know, we still have to worry about that type of stuff. So it's not like I can just continue to miss work.
Right.
So, and people that so sometimes, you know, in the hospitals they do something called like ride out and recovery. So the people, when these type of disasters happen, you know, people, they have a team of people that stay there. And then they have a team of people that when that type of stuff, when the disaster is over, the recovery team comes in to relieve the people that ride out. So for my job, they didn't necessarily activate it. They just said people who volunteered. Those people thought they were volunteering to come in till Tuesday. Some of them have been there since Sunday.
Mm.
And in my department, some nursing staff, they can sleep in beds and stuff like that. My in the department I work in, you literally have to sleep on the floor. So it's just different things. Like this has been really scary. I pray for everyone all around Texas because I understand it. I've heard Dallas is worse or going through more trying times than Houston. But I just hope we all get through this because it's been really freaking scary.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for calling in, sis, and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you all.
We love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Let me go ahead and bring on Crystal. I know she's been waiting for a while as well. So, Crystal, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Okay, hi guys. Good evening, everybody. I typically don't talk. I'm just a little sit back and watch her, but I am here in Dallas, Texas, and fortunately, where I live like outside of Dallas, kind of in like the just like kind of country area, like Midlothian, Texas. So, fortunately, our neighborhood hasn't had any outages or anything, but I think it's because we share the grid with the new hospital that they just built. That's my personal guess. But we did actually, like a lot of my neighbors 2 days ago did lose lights, and that was due to a transformer that blew out. So they were kind of dealing with that. Right now, we do have like a house full of people. They're here, our family who lives like in downtown Dallas, and their apartment is like the pipes have burst. They don't have electric, stuff like that. And then also like here in our city, we have 3 grocery stores, and none of those stores, like they'll open kind of throughout the day, but there's nothing there. And then like Walmart's pipes, Walmart had a big pipe burst. They haven't opened in days, and y'all know Walmart don't ever close.
Mm-hmm.
So that's crazy. And then like my mother-in-law, she right now she's in Harlingen, Texas for work, and that's like deep down south. Like the lady was saying earlier, literally Harlingen is like 30 minutes from the Mexican border, and it didn't snow and ice down there, but they are having the rolling blackouts down there too. So it's just really crazy. Like our family that's here with us right now, they booked a hotel before they came out here, and they, their hotel lost lights, so they couldn't even go to that place. And then when I posted about it on my Instagram, on my story, I posted about, everything that we're going through here and stuff. Everyone was like, wow, we had no idea. The news is not reporting on it. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's really funny that this situation that you guys are going through, it's not viral. But the foolishness last week, you couldn't go on any website, any legitimate news source without seeing this Gorilla Glue BS. But the stuff in Texas, I literally had to go hunting for it. I literally had to go on YouTube and put in Texas power grid down and then watch the news stuff that way. Because it's not coming up on my feed. It's not being posted by any of these mainstream blogs. It's not on e-network. So it's just like the stuff that's really affecting people, it's hush hush. Wow. But the distraction, it's fed down your throat 24/7.
That's wild. And then also, my neighbor, she was actually one of the people who lost power, and she posted. Okay, they're also like, along with them, doing the rolling blackouts and stuff, they are upping the energy prices by 10,000%. So she posted in our neighborhood Facebook group that she just got her bill today. Her bill only had 2 days of this crazy weather. Her bill was $866.
What?
With 2 days of this weather. So it's like, I mean, at this point, I'm just prepared for like probably a $1,500 bill or something. But it's wild.
Wait, so they're just allowed to just price gouge in the middle of the month? It's the 17th. And they literally can just raise the price for 2 days. Wow.
It's like energy prices just up so much. Like we're on our energy right now, we're on a 12-month contract, and it's like 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So they've already sent out an email and everything saying, energy prices are up. So it's wild.
Wow. And the thing that's funny, no, it's not funny, but what I find funny, let that bill not be paid on the 1st of next month. Well, they'll be quick to harass you, call your phone, but they forget about how the power was out. Even though you paid the bill that, the month before. It's a shame.
It's wild. I think that was everything I had to say.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it one other thing? No, I was gonna say, my husband, he's a nurse practitioner, so he's been off like since this started. He worked 3 days on and then he was off. So tomorrow he goes back to work. And I'm just, they say the roads are okay. So hopefully it'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Krista. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Let me go ahead and bring on P did 2020.
Hi, T.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for getting to me. I'm gonna be really, really quick. I'm not gonna take up a lot of time, but I'm really loving how I'm hearing the community here in the chat talk about this topic and the awareness that it's bringing to everybody. And I just wanted to point out a few things to everyone. And keep in mind that, this could be a very good indicator that there's something more coming. And so in the scheme of preparedness and readiness, guys, like me personally, I think that with the COVID and this weather and everything is a big cover up more or less for a financial reset that's going on. And just keep in mind that, how do I put it? The most important resources that you want to make sure that you have secured, number one to me is in the frame of precious metals, those the type that can protect yourself, your personal security. Also, I recently got into the idea of purchasing coins such as gold and silver in case the financial system is shut down and you can't get your money out of the bank and you can't make access to things, that you want to have some type of coins or some type of currency that you can use to barter or exchange with people. So that's just something to keep in mind of people. You know, the basics: food, shelter, water, energy. I think you have posted up some of the solar powered generators. Those are always a great idea. And a couple of things that I think is really, really, really important. Please have in your resources some really good calming and mental health practices that will keep everyone grounded. Because the biggest thing that keeps us up going in this is we're all in fear. We get this fear going and we don't know what's coming because it's so confusion, and that's all done intentionally. But if you all can find a way to stay grounded through meditation, prayer, just being with your loved ones and finding a sense of security, you know, just and confidence of knowing that you can get through these times, because that's, you know, ultimately long-term damage that's coming behind this can be just as harmful as what we're dealing with in the midst of everything. And last but not least, you had some amazing people come on and speak about the different wordages about, you know, how I call it spell casting. When you see Biden talk about a dark winter and you hear the celebrities or whatever mention these things, and we call it the predictive programming is coming. But just keep in mind that we also have power in our words. And, you know, while we sit and we discuss this, you know, it can be a lot of really gloomy to hear and daunting, this stuff, but please don't get discouraged. You know, reverse those spells, speak courage, speak victory, you know, give all shout outs to Texas for overcoming this great catastrophe, because y'all showed y'all strength. Y'all came together and y'all showed the nation how you could pull through a hard time, even when nobody was there to have your back and help you out. Y'all did it yourselves. And I'm proud of Texans. And I'm waiting for the outcome to come with a congratulations and a big praise, round of applause for Texas for showing out. And that's it.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it, sis.
No worries. Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Let me go ahead and bring on Lisa. Lisa, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey T, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, this is my first time speaking. I don't usually, I just sip and watch, but I'm in Texas, I'm in the Dallas area, and I just wanted to share a few things. I remember earlier you asked the question of like, in Texas, were we warned about things? And we were warned about like, you know, it's gonna be dangerous on the road, but we weren't warned about like a power outage. So on Monday, I got a notification on my phone saying that we might get the rolling power outages. And so, you know, we're thinking it's only going to be for 15 to 45 minutes. And it turns out that my power is off for hours. And so like I have a 17-month-old nephew. And so we can't live in this type of condition where we don't know if our power is going to be on and off. And I know they said like some places, if you live close to a hospital, then it won't shut down your power, but it just doesn't apply in every situation. So my grandma, she lives close to a hospital, and so her power was never shut off. But my cousins, they live even closer, like they're about 10 minutes from each other. They live even closer to that hospital, and their power was shut off.
Oh, wow.
So that it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like they pick and choose who they want to have their power on and off. I also wanted to talk about the water being contaminated. We got an email, not an email, but a message earlier. I live in the Dallas area, so be careful about your water. Make sure to boil it for 3 minutes because they had to shut off the pipes or whatever. And by doing that, it allowed for some type of contamination to happen. And I think one of the last things that I wanted to share here pretty quickly was just I can feel some sort of PTSD coming up. Like even now, I'm like, is the lights going to turn off? It's like once those lights are off, they're out for hours and you don't know if it's going to come back on. It's so cold outside. So it's just like, you always got to be prepared for something to happen. And so I appreciate everyone that shared in the doomsday chat about things to be prepared for, because, you know, I've never experienced anything like this, born and raised here in Texas. So it's crazy. I don't know when it's going to end.
Right. Yeah, and that's one thing I really liked about the prepper room. That's why I wanted to kind of drag everybody in there, just because there's such a wealth of information. And even and what I don't want people to do is get complacent, because, you know, a lot of times once, like, I guess the danger is averted, then it's like, whoo, okay, good, everything's all good. No, that's where you got to learn from that and then prepare. So in the event this happens again, you know, you're in a better position than prior. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for that, for telling your story and letting us know. So that's good to know that, you know, just because you live in the hospital doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be affected.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and bring on Gotti, that nigga. Go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm good. I just wanted to hit on a couple of things. Some people that hit on. As far as I feel like it's not necessarily just like the weather itself. I feel like the government is like controlling it, like with the sun and the harp and all of that. Like there's a whole reason why things like this just happen in certain areas, and it's usually dealing with areas with our people or whatnot. And then you have like the government, they have all of these plans and like the stimulus plans and the bills and all of that. Excuse me. And they have millions, trillions, billions of dollars to give to other countries and to have to deal with fishing and all types of craziness, but they haven't got the water in control when they still have people like in Puerto Rico that needs help. They still have people in New Orleans that needs help. Like it's all types of madness and craziness. It absolutely makes no sense at all. I feel like the government somehow, some way, is behind it, and it's all having to deal with money. They're just money hungry. They don't care about us. They don't care about the people. It's just a whole lot of craziness. I don't understand it, and yet we suffer.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I do feel like, just from hearing what everybody's saying, that there's more to this story, you know, like on the back end. And I feel like this is some type of test run, like I was saying earlier. And, you know, unfortunately, there are things that do control the weather. You know, people can try and act like weather modification isn't real, but it's very real. And it's been around since like the early 50s.
Right, and then you had some people saying that their phones weren't working. Well, why isn't their phone working? I can understand they can't charge it, you know, because the power's out or whatnot, but that has nothing to do with the towers or whatever like that. I feel like they're trying to hide something. They don't want it to get out. They don't want to have like firsthand sites or people getting out what's actually really happening. They just want you to know what they want you to know. And like you said, Gorilla Goo Girl, all over the place. She's still all over the place. But you hear about this.
Yeah, I only heard about this. I don't know if her phone went out. I think her phone went out. I only heard about what was going on in Texas because people were tagging me. And, you know, I was seeing people on Twitter and people on Instagram. It was just regular people. And the whole time I'm being like, well, where's the news? Why is the news not, like, why is this not viral? Like, there's literally 4 million people without power right now, and they're reaching out to like influencers. There's not much we can do but try and get the word out there. But why is this not mainstream news? Why do I have to Google this story? Like, why when I go on to yahoo.com or go on to Google, this isn't the first story I see, but yet and still, when I went on to Yahoo, all I saw was Gorilla Glue girl, you know?
Exactly. And I have like family in Texas, but fortunately they're not in the areas that's been affected. But still at the same time, I do have friends in the areas that have been affected. And those friends, they live in, not so much of the, middle class or upper middle class areas. So, I'm just looking to see how long they're going to take to get this problem fixed or what they're going to do about it. Because, we really don't hear too much. But honestly, I feel like they'll have this situation under control a lot sooner than other places where it's minorities. Like I said, like what they're still waiting for clean water. Yep, we got billions and trillions of dollars to give the other countries. Like why? You can't even take care of the people here.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your input. I really appreciate you calling in tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me go ahead and bring on Strawberries. So we're going to go until 9. So we'll see how many we can get in until 9. So go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, hey y'all. I love you, T. Thank you.
I love
Oh
you
my
too.
God. Okay, I'm gonna make this real as short as possible because I don't want to take up too much time. Now, for right now, for me hearing all this, it really breaks my heart because we have a lot of. I go to church. I go to Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church in Pompano Beach, Florida, and we had a good number of our members move to Texas. They're kind of in the older age, we call them king and queen ages, and to hear all this of what y'all going through, it really breaks my heart because I had no knowledge of it. Like I knew like it was snowing, but I didn't think it was this bad. So I'm really praying for y'all. I am, but I want to just bring this up, and I'm looking at this spiritually. I'm going to come this as a spiritual point because I watched a movie a couple of months ago, and it's called the Banshee chapter. And in short, basically these people, these scientists were doing experiments. However, it was funny how the whole premise of the movie was basically how an entity was actually telling them what to do, how to do this, do that, and to see who were like to say like, you know how they do trials, like, we pay you, come be willing. And I thought about that. That sat on my heart for quite some time because because I ain't gonna lie, when the whole Biden and Kamala Harris and all that, I wasn't too keen on them. I didn't trust them, even though they was better than Trump and them. Still, there was a side of me like I don't know for sure, but I do know this, and I felt this for a long time, and this only confirms what I believe. Not necessarily Biden and them, but how the government and how all these leaders are failing at a disappointing rate to take care of their citizens, the people they town, people they swore to protect and serve and all the rest of that. For those who just don't care about us and worry about money and all this stupid stuff that won't mean nothing later on. For me, some of these people are listening to whatever it is that's out there. Is not good, and it's responding back. Because when you think recently how a lot of old and new movies about pandemics, rituals, disasters, apocalypse, all these movies are starting to come back. The Purge, all of this is starting to come back, and it's at a higher rate. Like we all paying attention to it. And I believe at this point, they're telling us what they're going to do. It's not predictive programming at this point. They low-key telling, and for the mayor to go off, whoever did and said that y'all on your own.
That's why I said I didn't really take offense. It was harsh, but hell, the truth is harsh.
Right.
Right. Like everybody want to get mad and make TikToks, but I'm like, okay, y'all are wasting all this anger getting mad. Is the water back? No. What he's telling y'all is the truth. Like we are on our own, you know,
Right.
and that's the thing, like the other young lady was saying, you know, they have generators, she's helping her neighbors. We got to get back to this whole community thing, because we've been so conditioned over the past 15 years to just be selfish. It's all about me, 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 me. You do you, I'm gonna do me. You know what I'm saying? And you can't be that way, because again, you might have water today, but tomorrow you may not have no water.
Exactly.
You know, it could be your home today and my house tomorrow, you know?
Right. And it's like, that's scary how much like we have gotten to a point where we don't care about ourselves. Not saying people don't care about themselves or each other anymore. They do, but it's just the pointing how you know the veil has been lifted, and see how much it's like we're not connected anymore. And then with this pandemic, it damn sure solidified it, because then we can't really hang out with one another, and for cell phones, for their connection to lose to lose connection and all the rest of that. For me, this is all part of a ritual. There's a timeline in this, if I had to take the time to write it down, there's a timeline with invoking that demon time energy that you were speaking about. And then like way back when, like about mid
About
2020.
July, June,
Yeah.
July. Mm-hmm.
And how like low key, like down here we had experience, because I had around, I want to say June around last year, I had just got a new phone, like this new phone I'm talking on right now, and the cell phone, the signal dropped, and that was like weird. And how they was going through a power outage or whatever. I feel as though they're preparing for something, and they low key testing out one at a time, because this been going on for a while. Think about Flint, Michigan. Think about all what's been happening. You know what I'm saying? And the response to us, like how the other lady said, we have all these $1 billion for a stimulus check and giving to other countries and all the rest of that. But what about us? What about the people that's down there that's suffering? You want to charge people $900, but you don't give a damn if they die? Are you serious? You worried about $900 to stay in a room? You don't give a damn
You hand
whether
it
or not
over a
you
bill, but half the people ain't got no lights right now. I don't want to see a damn bill. I want my lights on.
Right.
I gotta go outside and use the sunlight to see my bill. There's a problem.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't have to be on the porch freezing like, oh, hell no, they done sent the $900 bill, but the inside of my house is dark.
Right. Right. So at this point, I thank God for this community that you have built. I wish there was more people like you that really cared. Really, it do. And this gives me a lot of hope. You know, I'ma still pray, because we gonna get through this, y'all. You know, this damn victory today is mine, and it's gonna be ours, because the devil can't have us. He can't. And I refuse to give him an inch so he can take a mile. I'll be damned. And I'll be praying for everybody, especially for my people in Texas. It's just at this point, we gotta take it in back. We gotta take our power back. We gotta do it for ourselves, because obviously they don't give a damn. And it's sad. It's pitiful. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for giving me this space and time. I love all of y'all. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We love you too, sis. Thanks for calling in. Let me go ahead and bring on RL. RL, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi, T. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you perfectly. How are you?
Good. How are you? How's everybody doing?
We're hanging in there, man. I'm loving the fact that so many people from Texas have just been calling in and giving us the real deal, because again, this is not stuff that we're able to see or hear on social media.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my heart, my prayers go out to everybody who's struggling at this time. It's really sad and unfortunate.
Definitely.
So I've been kind of like putting pieces together, like, two and two together, just kind of building on what's happening and what has been happening over time. And what people aren't talking about is the weather. like the weather phenomenon, which isn't really so much of a phenomenon as they want us to believe. There's something called, I don't know if anybody's familiar with, it's called the grand solar minimum. And it's basically our sun goes through different cycles, which is pretty much kind of like a heartbeat of our sun. And right now, one of them that we're going into is the grand solar minimum. And what that is that it's usually about like 11 years, depending on the severity of it. It goes to the cycle of like 11 years or so. And what happens is that we have a decrease in solar winds and solar sunspots. And with that, we get more of the galactic cosmic rays that reach the Earth. And so that causes different changes on the Earth. You get an increase in seismic and volcanic activity. You get increased cloud cover. You get more hail. You get a weak jet stream. So when you get a weak jet stream, you get these blocking patterns of precipitation. You get temperature extremes. So your hot temperature become hotter, and your cold temperatures become colder. And this is when you get these weird, like 100-year floods that you hear on the news, or 100-year droughts. So we've started with this probably like last year.
Yeah, in 2020, remember all the crazy weather phenomenons?
Correct.
Fires,
So
all the flooding.
exactly. So like your spring times are wetter, right? And your hot season, like your summers are hotter and your winters are colder. And with this, you get all this problem of, you get bad growing seasons. The food, our seeds aren't being produced properly. And because of that, you get seed shortage, which is what nobody's talking about right now. We have a seed shortage. So with that, then that affects the economy, right? And when that affects the economy, it affects the government, right? It affects the power, right? That you get like an empire collapse. So also, I know everybody here has heard of it. With that, you get things like weather modification that exhaust all these environmental elements. You get HARP, right? You get lasers that manipulate the weather as well. You get dew. All these things, the way they pulse storms to make things a little worse. And all of this is because they have an agenda. They have an agenda. They've been pushing this whole global warming for years. The powers that be know about the grand solar minimum. They know about these things, but they don't choose to prepare us for it. They don't tell us about it because they don't want to. It's easier for them to push these global warming agendas all to control us. It's all about control. They tell us that it's our fault that the Earth is dying, that all this CO2 emissions and all about that, it's all about control. They want to control us. And you get all these big tech people. I don't know if you've heard of AG Tech. It's Bill Gates is funding it, Jeff Bezos. You get John Podesta. And I don't know if you heard about it, but John Podesta, he did this simulation conference, this World Food Chain Reaction game. He calls it a game where you have climate crop losses, right? Because of weather. And because of that, you get food scarcity. And because of that, you get people dying, right? And he says that this can be fixed is through having a global government, which is Agenda 2030.
Speak on
So
it.
this is all about control. This is all about controlling the population. And it's not just here in the US, like this is global. This is all around the world. Joe Biden recently signed executive orders to go more into the clean burning economy. He aims to conserve like 30% of the country's lands, the water, within the next 10 years. And so is Boris Johnson. He commits to doing the same, to restoring 30% of Britain, restoring to nature 30% of Britain by 2030.
So all this.
Aren't people in the UK being punished too for like something with the food there?
Yes.
The article.
Yes. They're coming down with all kinds of regulations with people not being able to keep their farms, with animals. They're taking people's chickens away. They're making it really hard for them to even own just a couple of chickens. They just take them away because they say, oh, no, animals could carry the virus and things like that. So all these regulations are coming down. And even here in the States, like we're seeing it trickle down to the States as well. Farmers, they've made it really hard for farmers to be able to grow food and to keep their lands. And because they haven't been able to grow, some of them take out these loans, and since they can't grow anything, the banks take their farmland.
Yep. And then Bill Gates, with his billions, he's able to buy it.
Correct. So now Bill Gates owns all this farmland.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to push this agenda of us eating all this
vegetarianism.
Yeah, vegetarian.
Remember when you talked about it in the DM? Like I have been, I tried the vegan thing for 4 months. It was too much for me. It's too strict because I like butter, cheese, and milk. I make no apologies for that. But right. I've been vegetarian for years. And I remember even back 10 years ago, this was not pushed like that. You ate your tofu and you sat the hell down. Now it's almost like people are shamed. Oh, you gotta try the other meat and, Beyond Meat and everything is, when I see something being pushed so much, it makes me suspicious. And I don't eat meat like that. It's like, what are they really trying to push here? Like, are we on some Soylent Green type stuff where everything in this incredible meat is human? If y'all have ever seen the movie Soylent Green, like that's the vibe I get. It's like they're pushing it a little bit too hard for my liking, and I don't even eat meat.
Correct. And that's suspicious. It's very suspicious that he now owns all this farmland. And like I was telling you the other day, Tom Vilsack is back to being the head of the USDA. His nickname, Mr. Monsanto. Mm-hmm. He's the one that brought us the cloned animals. Yep, who authorized the lab-grown meat, factory farming, and he pushed the GMOs. Yep. So all of this, like our ears should be kind of ringing, like something really is going on. They're really trying to push this one world agenda, this global government.
Yeah, this was all part of that's why I call it a pandemic. I know people get so offended by that. I don't know why, because if you really look at it deeper, that the virus, yes, it's real, but they use that as a way to usher in everything that we're seeing now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really scary. And that's the thing, like with what's going on in Texas. Like I was telling somebody today, they're already price gouging the hotels. So we see that happening. We see the shortage of gas, but they're also going to start price gouging the food. What people don't realize is that more and more food is going to be scarce. Just like this summer, there was a huge rice shortage. I had posted that on Instagram warning people, make sure you stock up on rice, especially if you're from a big rice eating community. Africans, that's all we eat is damn rice, and Asians too. So I'm gonna make sure.
And Hispanics
and
too.
Like y'all make sure, because the rice, because of all the flooding, again, whatever happens in one country, people realize it's one big circle that affects us all. So because it was so much flooding in the East over there in Asia, who grows the majority of the rice for the world, that's why it was so scarce. And now with what's going on in Texas with the granary, you're going to see a scarcity of bread and wheat and different products like that come this spring.
Correct. Yeah. And with this solar minimum, I mean, we can expect this. And you could trace the solar minimum, the grand solar minimums through history. It's been documented. So instead of them, if anything, like the government should be teaching us how to survive these different weather times that we're living in, That's why I want to encourage everyone here, like grow something, grow anything. Even if you live in an apartment, you can get yourself like a pot, get
grow potatoes, something like get a little community of growers going where you can all just trade, get involved with your growing communities, get to know each other. One person can grow one thing, one person can grow another. Like try to be as self-sufficient as you can. Like do not depend handouts from the government. The government does not care about you. It has one agenda and it's going to push it.
Well, thank you so much, RL, for that wealth of information. I really appreciate it. A lot of people in the chat are responding. So thank you so much for that, what you said tonight.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me. And my prayers go out to everyone with all this weather stuff. Take care and do all you can to stay safe.
Definitely. So it's already 9:02. I'm going to bring on 2 more people and then we're going to get ready to leave because this has really gotten really long. Let me bring on Lynn to Knowledge. So Lynn, if you could go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey T.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I live in Dallas, in Arlington, Texas, and we've been going through it. My family and I were without power for over 51 hours.
Oh, wow.
We just got power back yesterday, and it went out again today. We just got it back again today, and I'm not going to reiterate what everyone said. It's true, the stores are closed down. We did go out to get something to eat, and we stayed in line for almost 2 hours just to get something at a fast food restaurant. Gas is gone. And I thought it was strange too, the young lady who was talking about when our power went out, my phone went out as well. And I didn't put two and two together.
Now you're the third person who said that. So that lets y'all know right there in the chat and everybody watching that this is not just something that happened by happenstance.
Right.
Wow.
Right. And I just want to let everyone know that prior to this, my family and I, we started to as be preppers when the whole coronavirus started. And I told my husband yesterday that I thought we had enough. I thought that I was well prepared, but we were not. We were not well prepared for this situation. And so I just want everyone to know that stock up, find YouTube videos. There are people out there who will give you the things that you need to stock up. And like everyone else said about that mayor, although he may not should have said what he said, but he was telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We need to fend for ourselves, and that's it. We need to start fending for ourselves. And this situation here in Texas, I pray that it opens a lot of people's eyes more to wanting to fend for themselves. Like I said, we started prepping, but we were not prepared for this, like at all. And I just wanted to say that thank you for everyone who came on and gave the information. Everything that they were saying was true. And I'm just praying for everyone who's in Texas who's still without power. Because I understand we were in our car, in our garage. Yes, the garage, the door was lit up, but we sat in our car just to stay warm because in our house, it was 38 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to take much time. I just wanted to say that people really take this seriously. Get on YouTube, get a community going, and prepare yourself because the government will not help you. You're going to have to help yourself.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Lynn. I really appreciate you calling in this. All right, so let me go ahead. Somebody says we should have a gardening section. We do. It's under health and wellness. So anything with gardening or anything related to like health, it's all in the health and wellness section of the Discord. So let me go ahead and bring on David Camarillo. So David, if you want to go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh, hi T.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So I'm from Central Texas, between Dallas and Austin. Thankfully, my power hasn't went off, but my my sister who lives up in Dallas, her power went off. Thankfully, we still have our water on, but it has kind of been challenging since we kind of like how we hear on this Zoom, like that, the gas prices and other things. So we're kind of like in the food. So we kind of are worried about if that does like turn into more days, what can we do? But thankfully right now I'm okay, but you know, everything it's of course, it's really real. It's getting really real out here. but yeah, it's just.
So now have you like experienced anything like personal? I know you said your sister's power and stuff went out. Like, are you seeing long lines, gas disappearing, you know, things like that, grocery stores shutting down?
So I have two, both my sisters actually, their power went off. One lives in an apartment and then one lives in Dallas. So the one from Dallas, she sent me a photo, and the grocery store, we went there beforehand, and it was empty. The shelves looked empty. It looked like when the COVID was happening, how those shelves were empty. But personally, just we were just scared for the water, since we heard people's pipes were bursting. So we're just mostly scared about that. But the long lines, I have seen them online, and also just people in my own group chats have been just telling me like that they didn't have power, and I'm just like, well, I don't know what else. I don't know like what I could do, since I don't want to risk it by driving somewhere. But yeah, it's just really getting real.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling, and I appreciate it. Make sure you stay safe, you know, and definitely check out like the prepper chat room and things like that, just to keep you prepared, you know, just in case anything swings down more your way.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Definitely. So let me go ahead and bring on Road. Road is going to be the last person. So if you want to go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hey, see, I was just about to close it out. I thought that was the last person doing.
Hey, how are you?
Good. This was a really good conversation, and I just want to thank everyone for sharing. I actually didn't know anything about this situation until I've been so busy this week. Like, I saw you guys posting about weather. I think it was just in the checkup, the meetup. You know, I check in there, I try, because I don't really have the time right now to really engage as much as I would like. And I saw people posting about, you know, it was like bad weather, and I thought it was like regular. So I'm like, oh, it's good in Atlanta. And I feel so bad. So I just want to say, I apologize for bragging that we're fine. I did not know until I went later and I looked, and I was like, oh my God, this is bad. Oh, that was really distasteful for me to post that. But I just wanted to end on a closing note. I just wanted to talk about, I don't know if you were, well, I know you remember because you did it. This reminds me a little bit of, you know, a video you did back on a missile testing or mistake that happened in Hawaii. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, I remember that video. And people was hiding their kids in the sewer system.
And crying and calling their people and saying, hey, this might be it, you know, and that never sat well with me. And another thing with that story that just, it always kept coming back, even before like a pandemic or anything like that. Ironically enough, it had me in the prepper phase in 2019 because I was, you know, getting my finances together, trying to get some stability, like just in that mood. You know, sometimes I watch your old content, but I remember that story. It what was so weird about it was like, it seemed like it hit and then we kind of just moved on. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't like the points you made in that video. I'm like, how do you just make a mistake like that? You have people crying, bringing beds, you know, over like, I think the tubs or something, like they're on an island, you guys. So it's like, where do you go if a missile's coming? Like, you don't know when it's going to hit. And I just, when you guys talk about this being a test or a prep, that's something I kind of have been thinking this entire time through like COVID, like not necessarily like, I don't know if it's on purpose. I don't know if it's spiritual. I don't know if it's just we getting what we getting because of just all the mistakes over the years with our education, infrastructure, social welfare program. A lot of these areas, we're seeing all the issues in them, even in our food supply chain. So it's just, and again, it was someone who spoke earlier, Miss Ronaldo. Ronaldo, I forget. She spoke about just, you know, like, why weren't we prepared? And, you know, I wanted to say to that, you know, because overall our culture is very reactive. We are always reacting to something. something happens and then we have to march and then we have to fix, or then, oh, now we know this should have been fixed 10 years ago. Like, why don't Texans know that? Why didn't we know some of our social programs or our water wasn't being checked on? It's just, to me, it seems like as a society, we're very reactive to what happens to us. And I love reading some of you guys' comments in the prep section, because that's a very proactive mindset, the what if. I know they're like, I love your, I actually have your teacup right now by me, the tin hat teacup, because it's always like, oh, they're the crazy people. What if it, all goes down tomorrow? And I know that we like to pick on people like that, but at the same time, it's a good concept to have, because even if nothing happens, well, you just got a bunch of rice in your house.
Right.
You good. Right. And my dad, he was like this ultra prepper, like back in the day, like Y2K, we're under the bed with the guns, with the unempty. I'm like 6, like, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. And nothing. And it's ironic because his friends called him in 2020, like, I know you're prepared. And my dad, I mean, it's years later, he's not ready. He's like, I'm going to get this money from my family. I gotta go catch a flight. We not ready. We just here. And it's just this idea that I wanted to speak to the fact that I don't think that people are just being lazy or complacent all the time, or being ignorant or not trying to be informed. I think we're kept busy and entertained to the point where it overwhelms us, where you don't have time to learn things. Like, I've always wanted to learn to grow. I always wanted to learn how to, obviously have your finances together. You always want to learn how to be prepared, even for prep situations. But if you think about it, I think about my year in 2019, that was the most hours I ever worked in my life. I was working over 70 hours because I was working my regular job and I was still holding my part-time. My only off day was Sunday. And I slept. So it's like, I think most people, their life is like that. They have kids, they have responsibilities, and they know these things. And as much as we like to say, hey, why do you spend so much time on social media and, on the BS? I think most people, they just need a outlook. And when we come and watch UT, it's like a break from real life. And it's not people just abandoning their responsibilities. And like the lady Strawberry, I love what she had to say. And AG, I'm sorry, no, what's her name? Ariel. To speak to you guys' point, like and Miss Ronaldo, like I had to write notes because I didn't know you were going to get to me, but I wrote them earlier. They knew about this infrastructure stuff, like you said. Again, I told you, you guys, I like, look at political stuff. And one of the political commentators I watch all the time, he always cites the American Society on Civil Engineers. And that's he's like a big liberal, like way left to me, but he always talks about that grade A-D that the United States has. So it's just a lot of things I think are just the chickens are coming home to roost. Like we failed in so many areas for the love of profit, for the love of self and individualism, to the point where we're literally being torn apart by that very same system. So right. I love the point, and I just I wish you guys well in Texas. I'm really sorry that happened, and I'm sorry about my tone deaf. No one seemed to care, but that was very tone deaf of me to be like, look, Atlanta, look at the Capitol, it's pretty. I didn't know it was as bad as it was. So I'm glad you guys informed me, and I can reach out to some people I know out there, and also just let my family know, because like T said, this is not going to just stay in one area. You're going to see a ripple. And if 2021 keeps going like this, we're going to see more issues down the pipeline. Maybe it won't be a storm, but what comes in the summertime? What comes when we get in the late summer with the hurricanes?
And I think too, a lot of it, what a lot of people don't tend to address with the social media thing, while yes, sometimes people are busy with life and things that they're going through and stuff, so they may not be up on the latest this and that when it comes to things that are really affecting them. But I think a lot of people use social media as escapism from reality. And yes. I think that's something that also needs to be addressed as well. And I've gotten to the point, even for me, I had to like really do some like deep soul searching this weekend, because I was really going through it. Like I had to take a mental health break from social media, because of the attacks that I was getting over my Gorilla Glue story. Me calling out her lies and basically saying this is a distraction. What is this distracting us from? Y'all are so worried about this liar that y'all don't realize that the water system in Florida done got hacked. There's something coming down the pipeline. Like the only people who really knew about this were my mods, but like it like the comments that I was getting from people was so disgusting and
I'm
just
sorry
like,
to hear that.
yeah,
I really am.
yeah, really low vibrational, really hurtful. I mean, people sending me death threats. I mean,
And
just
they don't
like
even know you.
all behind this liar and her
scammer.
And like I said, kudos to her. You walked away with 20 grand and whatever you choose to do with it, that's your business. But just because I'm telling people, like, let's move on from this. This woman is a huge distraction. What is really going on? Imagine if we would have made stories about the grid that hadn't been taken care of and that hadn't been winterized in 10 years. Imagine if we made that go viral. Imagine
Then you would have had people calling their actual state representatives, making sure, well, hey, I stay in Arkansas. Are we good? What's going on with our system? And it's just so frustrating, and it shows a failure, like, again, on every single level. You think about education, higher education, even you seeing all the issues with the college students being at home, social service programs, even the churches not being able to rein in and keep their members involved because they couldn't come in because of COVID. The water supply, the health system, now healthcare, is back a big deal. And it's just all of these areas you're seeing a breakdown. And also, like you said, media. We come to most people, I've heard them say, I haven't talked in the last few lives, but I've heard people say, see, I come to you for it. And to be honest, I shop around, I do, but honestly, you were the first person that put us up on COVID. Like I came home to a package from China after watching your video on my way home. I'll never forget. And I was like, oh, I dropped it. And I was like, okay, stop being dramatic. Okay, you watched the video. And I honestly, I was freaked out, but I was like, Shakira, you can't, it's over there. Again, the problem's over there. Don't, that mentality. Oh, now I want to act crazy when, it's in the States. I was still calm. But when they did that shutdown at work, I was like, oh shit, it's real. It's real. Like everybody panicked. And I think we're always in the mode to be, like you said, fearful and to be panicked. And you know why? Because you make rash decisions when you're panicked, and you're willing to give up more when you're in fear. Think about the Patriot Act. But yeah, I'm done. I know everybody's ready to go, but I just really, I just wanted to speak to that. And I really enjoyed, everyone had something really, really interesting to say and to, add value to the conversation. So thank you guys. And thank you for the wealth of education. I took notes. So
good. No, thank you so much, Rhoda. I appreciate you. So yes, you guys, this has been an awesome stream. And what I wanted to say, because I know a lot of you guys get like stressed out, like trying to tell your families and your friends about preparing and just trying to get them back on track. Like I told a few of my mods, I guess I just come to the conclusion, you can't save everybody. And it's not my job to. And I'm not going to stress myself out anymore behind it. I done had my little, well, this ain't a bell. Damn it, it's a damn lotion. Just pretend this is a bell. I done rang my bell all through, the YouTube streets. If folks don't want to listen and they just want to dismiss me as a lunatic, that's fine. I'd rather talk to people, in this type of environment, people who are they're just smart and you guys respond and you guys see things. And we can come here and have like serious discussions, fun discussions, but nobody is judged, and that's what I really love about this space. I feel like every time we have a meeting, I leave with the wealth of information. You know what I mean? Like y'all teach me so much and vice versa. And that's how it should be. And I'm just over like social media and the cognitive dissonance and people who just want to be, ignorant is bliss. They rather just sit in ignorance because it's more comfortable. I can't waste my breath on those people anymore. So for me on YouTube, it's just going to be surface level shit, celebrity news, anything deep, anything, where we need to sound the alarm. I'm coming to it with the Discord. You know what I'm saying? We'll be able to have the discussions in here uninterrupted, not a bunch of trolling comments, people who don't appreciate the information. I'd rather give it to people and create a space for the people who are actually going to utilize it and learn from it and go out and, help the people that who need the information. Just like the prepper room, it's like, it's just hard. It's like, even as much as I want to post some of this information on Instagram, for what? They keep flagging my shit and threatening me to delete my Instagram. So to the point now, it's like, unless I'm posting like celebrity news or saying, hey, Cardi did a great job, that's the only time they leave me alone. But if I post anything, deep, or say, go check this out, I'm automatically flagged. My post is deleted, and my manager has gotten involved now because it's just gotten so blatantly obvious, like they're messing with me. And she's contacted Instagram and they're like, oh no, we don't, we haven't done anything to her post. Well, explain these last 8 being removed. And they're all stuff that make you think. They're not celebrity posts. They're literally like, when I talked about the robots and just different things like that they take down. So when I tell you, I'm just mentally tired of fighting social media, like these different apps and these different platforms. So I just thank God for y'all. And I just thank God for the Discord, that at least like there's a place to like just go and talk and vent and just really hear people's stories. So I'm just grateful to everybody who called in tonight from Texas and shared y'all stories, because nobody really knows what's going on. Because again, even what's being shown by the media is just surface level. Where else would you guys have heard that when people's lights went out, their phone went out? 3 different people confirmed that. They're not saying that in the mainstream media. So I just think, just like I told my moms this weekend, don't even waste your time trying to or waste your energy trying to make people become woke, aware, trying to make them listen. You got to make sure that you're good first and foremost. Like they always tell you when you get on a plane, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you turn around and help anybody else. Because if you don't have your mask on and you can't breathe, how can you help your child? So I think we have to look at it like that. Help those who want the help and who will receive the help. The folks who just want to argue with you and write stupid shit like you are crazy, just ignore them and don't even waste your breath on them. So that's the approach I'm taking. So I just want to thank everybody who came through the night. I know this was a little bit longer stream, but I felt it was very important. And I wanted to get as many people on here as I could. So thank you guys. Stay safe.
I will unmute a few of them just for you so they can tell you bye, just for you.
So thank you guys once again, and stay safe, stay warm, and most importantly, prepare. Okay?
Bye.
Bye.
See y'all next
Bye.
time.
Love you guys.
Bye.